Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Cool. Thank you for the 57-month sub. Jackie, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Hey, Law Witch. Hey, Ven. Hey, Mystique. Hey, Revenge. We have a special guest on today. Yeah, I just saw you texting like, oh no, shit, I have to get this through really quickly. I'll just get you on, Nikki. We'll just do it. We'll just rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do it. You're so cute.
Hi, everybody. Hello.
Hi. Oh my God. It's so nice to have you on my stream because have I had you on a stream before? I'm sure I've had you like on a live stream before, but maybe I haven't.
I don't think so. I feel like we did like a co-stream. We played Overwatch together, I think.
We did.
Yeah.
Did you know my husband works for Overwatch now?
No.
He does.
Cool.
He does. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I've been playing so much
really
Overwatch
cool.
recently. I don't know if you still play it, but it's still fun. I
haven't played it in a while, but because I've been on my Fortnite.
You're on your Fortnite binge. I kind of want to play it again. It's been a really long time since I've tried Fortnite, but I just associate it with children. Like, and I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel a bit like, am I allowed to play this? Am I too old for this?
No, I don't think so. And honestly, we should play.
We should play. We go kick some kids' asses.
I'm so down. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I did a Fortnite video once. I don't know if you know. I did.
Oh.
Have you ever watched like those kind of like spoofy YouTube videos where people do like they like piss off people in game and like film their reactions?
Yeah.
I did like that, but I pretended to be a child on Fortnite, and I was like doing this like baby kid voice, and you know what? I'll send you the YouTube. I think you'll like it. But
I want to see it.
It's very different content. It's very different for like than my normal shit now. But yeah. Wait.
Oh.
Wait. I have a huge bruise on my arm. Okay. Soz.
From what?
I don't know. That's like ADHD right there, and like.
No, really. You probably walked into a wall.
Literally,
that's what I do.
I actually probably did. I'm not getting abused, I swear. Oh my God.
No, I do that all the time. I just like walk into the door or something.
Yeah, I'll always end up with like having like random cuts and stuff on my hands. I'm like, I don't know where they came from. So anyway, it's really nice to have you on stream. The intention with like Heartfelt Hangouts is to basically have like a space where I'm doing like kind of like low key, like a live, like psychic reading session, but way more like approachable and chill and like helping people. And I've had you're my second guest on, so this is like still in its like early baby stages of being a thing, but I really wanted to do a bit more like AOE kind of like vibes where people can sit and listen and hear about other people's troubles and struggles and difficulties and even just like hopes and dreams and like finding and figuring that stuff out, and just like have more exposure to real people problems and like the solutions like to those things. And I wanted to start trying to, you know, use my stuff with astrology and tarot to start like digging my teeth into it a bit. So I'm really happy to have you on because we've known each other now for about 4 years.
Yeah, I think 4 years. Yeah, a long time. Yeah. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me. You're so excited.
So welcome. Yeah, because are you quite into astrology and things like that? Like, where would you feel like you're at in like your spirituality, if we're gonna call it that?
For like astrology and stuff, like I am into it, but it's not like I determine how my day is gonna be by it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know some people are like that. I know you're not like that either, but like I do believe that, like I do believe it, and that's why I like your content. That's why I watch your streams, because I just like listening to you talk about that stuff. But yeah, no, and I don't know a lot about it either. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, we'll get into that today.
I know enough, but not a lot.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, like, so anyone that gets like comes on as a guest, like I try and ask them to like fill out a form beforehand just to give me like a better idea of kind of what someone's going through and where they're at and what I can even help them with. And one of the big things that was like coming through about what I feel like our chat is going to be around today is, you know, you're a streamer, you're a content creator, and you're figuring out like your path with that. We spoke a bit. So before I go live, I like have a call with my guests to just kind of get like more of a feel, you know, especially too, so we're not just like throwing ourselves like right into it. But we were talking about kind of like sometimes like the rise and fall of being a streamer and how that can affect your confidence and your self-esteem. And I think even away from being a content creator, I think it's really easy for people to feel really good and happy with themselves when life seems to be going good. And then if life goes good and then suddenly it's like, you know, like over a long period of time, like things aren't going so good anymore, it can be really hard to adapt and confront the problems and actually like understand what the problems really are, especially when you then feel like you have so much like weighing on you. And especially as a content creator too, most normal people get like the luxury of privacy when they're going through those kind of things, where they're feeling like they're going through like a fall from grace, or they're having to adapt or like re-understand success. But content creators, we kind of have to do it publicly.
In front of everybody.
In front of everybody.
Yeah, especially when you are like me and you don't know how to put up a front.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so open with my emotions. And you're like that too. I don't know if that's just like a Pisces thing or something.
It
we're
is.
both Pisces.
It is. Yeah, we're both Pisces. I saw someone say like Nikki's a Gemini. I'm like, shut the fuck
up.
She's a Pisces. She's a Pisces.
Liar.
We're both Pisces. You're a liar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Pisces do struggle. Like they're such they can be such an open book sometimes, but it can be really, I think what I've learned as a Pisces is like sometimes like sharing my struggles is really to a detriment. Like I've had my fair share of stings where you kind of share like your weaknesses and people really trample all over your grass, you know?
Yeah exactly. It's funny because like when I did hair, I was like, I feel like it was like still really fresh for me.
You were so you worked at a salon whilst you were starting your Twitch.
Yeah, so this was like about 6 years ago. I was doing like the salon and then I was doing streaming at the same time. And like when I started at the salon, it was like at the same time as I started streaming. So everything felt really fresh and exciting and new for me.
It always is in the beginning. I think streaming is always like really exciting at this.
Yeah, and you're like in like a honeymoon phase or something, like whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so then like when I noticed that was one of the things I had an issue with, was people would see that I'm in like, when I have my highs and I'm in a very good mood, it's like very contagious.
Yes.
So sometimes I feel like I have to be that. Otherwise, because I don't want to like be in a bad mood. And then that's like contagious, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, that's always really hard for me because I feel like for a while I was like, oh, I gotta be sunshine and rainbows all the time. But it's so hard to do that.
It's so interesting because like that is you have a Taurus moon in the 5th house. So like you like to have fun. Like you like to make people laugh. But it has to be in a way that's like comfortable for you because it's Taurus. It's like you have this Taurus moon in the 5th house, so it's like, you know, it really has to be natural. It has to feel natural to you. And if you start to feel like your happiness isn't natural, if it's not really like organic and it doesn't feel right, you can end up falling into a trap of like repressing maybe your more like negative emotions or like feeling really stuck, because the Taurus moon, like it loves its comforts and it can end up, it's like a hard worker as well. Like when you like to do something, you'll feel very like comfortable doing it, and you can get a lot of money. Like with like Taurus, the 2nd house is all about like resources and money and value, but like how you feel about yourself and your own value. But it also brings in like value too. Like people value being around that like happy energy like you carry. Like it's really comfy to be around. So when you don't have that, you can end up either feeling like you have to force yourself to be that way for your hustle.
Yeah.
And like it's okay sometimes, like it's like you kind of put on a brave face, like, you know, occasionally, but if that becomes your routine, it can like eat your asshole from the like inside out in a bad way, and like really kind of like feel like it's like kind of like kills your spirit a bit and like kills your spark. Like, do you think that's kind of what you went through?
Yeah, I feel like and as painful as this is for me to say, I feel like it definitely happened to me when I was doing like hula hooping on stream.
Yeah,
because
tell if you don't mind.
I'll tell everybody. I'll tell everybody like the timeline of like my streaming career in a summary. So like I started streaming, and the first thing I started streaming was like Overwatch, and I streamed from a PlayStation 4. I didn't have like fancy equipment. I just had the little PlayStation 4. And then I started going into variety gaming, and I hula hooped for like several years. I want to say like a good like 5-6 years before I started streaming. And I never had the intention to bring it to my streams. So it was a thing that was mine. It was me, and I was in the music and I was vibing, and it was fun. And people would see my videos of me doing it on Instagram, and they kind of were like, oh, you should do this on stream. You should do this on stream. And then eventually it turned into me doing it on stream once a month, to me doing it on stream once a week, to me doing it on stream every day. And I built my brand around it. And
yeah, because a lot of your emotes were like all like hula hooping, and your old username was like
logo.
Your logo, your username was like Base Fairy. So it's like, you know, music.
It was like all tied in.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was fun. Like I definitely had a really good time. It felt like a party, but like I felt like because it went from something that was mine, like singing to yourself in your bedroom, like, or dancing to yourself in your bedroom. Like imagine how that feels. I took that and I put it on camera, and it took away a lot of the happiness from it, because I felt like I had to do it.
It changes too, I think, when money gets involved with any, like if you have a passion and then you start to be able to like make money from it, I think things get really complicated. Because at first it's like, oh my God, this feels great. I'm doing what I love and other people like it too. Like this is great. And then when you start to build like your foundations from that, it's like you kind of erect this like box that you're like, oh God, like my stability and my security completely goes if I don't do the thing in the box
that I'm supposed to do. And you saying about making money is exactly spot on, because it was like all about hitting a goal like every time, because like I was like, this is a fun way for us to try and unlock some different things.
It was such a party. And then like
it was
anytime you had like a big pot, like, you know, a bit like big sub goal stuff, and then that would unlock a reward, so then you could have a chill stream. And it was it's like, although, but you had to work really, really hard to give yourself permission to like maybe do something that maybe like you secretly kind of wanted to do, or like wanted to chill and do.
Or it's like if I didn't feel like flowing that day, it was like, you know, you get the people when you're, and I'm not saying like everybody was like this, because obviously like I have a lot of really amazing community that is very supportive of whatever I do. But there's always those few people that are like, oh, well, why aren't you doing this? And it's like, oh, I don't want to today. And then it just feels like,
it's like, why did you?
I know
it's kind of weird that people like straight up ask that sometimes, but I don't think they understand how that might make someone feel. Like, you know, it's like, why are you doing this and all that? And it's like,
I had to explain myself like a bunch of times.
Like you ask that, you say that out loud, okay?
And so about like last year I decided to rebrand, and then I swapped over completely just back to games. It wasn't just because hula hooping wasn't making me happy anymore, but it was also because like I started getting really bad body aches, because when I was doing hair, like I started getting early signs of carpal tunnel, and I also hurt my hip. And I did hooping for like over 10 years with no professional training. It was all self-taught. So who knows what I was putting my body through. And I was sometimes I would do it on stream for like 5 hours straight, sometimes even longer.
And that'd be like a day as well, like 5 hours, like one day, then like two, like maybe a day, the next day as well. And maybe like a couple days after that. Like it was, I remember you were like doing hula hooping
all the time.
And when I talk like on Nikki's like hula hooping stuff, it was like full on like hardcore your music and like not just like hula hooping like in a circle in a row, but like flipping it around and like rolling it and like doing all these like tricks.
Like tricks.
Yeah, it's like tricks and stuff like that. And like rave stuff. And it was good. Like amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
It was really fun, but I could so see how that could like take a huge toll on you. And it's such a drastic difference too from like kind of being lifted up, I guess, as like this like party person, this person who like makes everyone feel good and like is the life of the party, and then having to be like held to that standard. It's very like inhuman.
People always told me that.
It's so inhuman in a way. And the moment you kind of step away from that and maybe start to relax and do something a little bit less, it's like, you know, you could probably get these people who like, you know, then you figure out like people have like really loaded and unfair expectations of you as like a human. But that's because it's like in a way you've kind of just acted like kind of godlike, you know, like as in like your streams were like godly shit. Like so cool, but it's like you know.
No, I get it. It was like it was a party every day. And it's funny that you even say that, because even before I did streaming, I always would go to like shows and concerts and raves and stuff, and like my friends, I would be dancing, and if I stopped dancing to like take a break, my friends would be like, why aren't you dancing? We're not dancing until you're dancing. Like that is the energy I have. So like if I'm like and I feel like I think you know my friend Carmen. We bounce off of each other like that. Like that's why we like doing stuff together, because we're both like crackheads and we're just like And so like that's just the kind of personality I've always had, and I know that that's what it was. And I know that there are people that like watching certain things on Twitch, and that's totally okay, but it was just hard for me, because at the end of the day, like I am a human, and like I can't force myself to do these things every single day, especially when it was something that I just did in my free time that I just wanted to do. I never did it like as a job or anything, like to doing it every single day because people were gifting me like subs or whatever, and it was fun, it was great. And I feel like that sounds like weird to complain about, but it still was hard. I think
there's always a point, you know, I think every rational, reasonable person can relate of like, you know, sometimes it's clearly not about the money, you know, like sometimes, you know, things get exhausting, like period. You know, I mean, the party life, it can seem great, but you know, even it's like there's a whole ass like what's her saying of like, you know, when the party people are ready to settle down, you know, like bachelor boys, you know, like, you know, oh, they're finally hitting their time to like settle down. Like you can't constantly like be a party unless like, you know, the people who get into older age and sustainably party, they usually have to start taking shit. As in, like stimulants and like different types of drugs to like keep the party going. And you know, I think any like reasonable person, it's like you're not complaining about the party and the vibe itself, but at the end of the day, like it does exhaust a certain amount of energy from you, and like it's just not sustainable. And like I'm sure at least all of us have maybe had like at least one job in customer service where you have to like, you feel like you have to come in at that level where you're like
leave your problems at the door.
And like leave your problems at the door and like put on this this front, and like how exhausting that can be. And like, you know, at the end of the day, like no matter how much money you're making, it doesn't change the fact that it's exhausting. And you kind of hit this crossroads of like, okay, well, if I choose to not do this, I'm like losing X amount of money. And that's like such a hard decision, especially when you feel fortunate and lucky enough to even to have that as an option. You know?
And like because so another little thing that I'm going to add to the timeline for people is this was another hard thing that happened was in 2020. Like we obviously know what happened. Like a lot of us got stuck at home, and like I was doing hair still, and so obviously salons closed because that's a very personal job, like you're hands-on or whatever. So that closed, and I was doing streaming full time at that point forward. I was like, okay. And I was lucky enough where I was making enough money. And I pretty much was like, my husband was like, you're so happy. And he was like, you're always ending stream and you're in such a good mood. And he was like, why don't you just not go back to work out of the salon and just do this? And I kind of just did it. I didn't really make a plan. I kind of just quit my job.
I know so many people though too. It's like they didn't plan to become streamers. It's just kind of like happened. But there is always sometimes like a point where they're like, oh, like when things aren't working out for them. And it's really, you have to really work through some shit like in yourself, and like you have to square things. My therapist says it's like my therapist calls it like you have to kind of like square certain things like with yourself and the world, and it's like come to terms with like certain realities, and not have it be something that's so like we were talking about this offline about content creation being like glamorized and this like hustle mindset. And I think there's like some shit with like spirituality too, of like manifestation and trying to manifest. And it like leads people in this like Delulu goose chase. And it ends up like creating these like cycles of disappointments where you get yourself all hyped up for like this thing to like solve the problem, which isn't really solving the problem. It's just like an exciting new shiny plaster to put over the problem. And it just ends up hurting us every time we keep re-encountering the same issue, because we've not really squared the reality with ourselves of what's changing about the world and what's changed about ourselves and what changes just throughout your path. Because, you know, when things are going great, it like feels like everything makes sense and like you have it all figured out. But, you know, when you're walking your path, like things change, and like it can be an ego hit sometimes, I think, for people where you know, they really when they have to like, when they've become so attached to a goal or attached to like what their life is going to look like, I can't help but feel like you've had to do some like really major work on like dropping that. Or maybe it was easy for you. Was it easy for you to do that?
Yes and no. I feel like I'm a fake it till you make it type of person. Like that's just like, like it was funny because like I told you I started like my new YouTube channel, and like Carmen was laughing at me because she was like, girl, in your first video you said welcome back to my channel, and you were like, it's your first video. And I was like, yeah, like fake it till you make it. And like that came from beauty school, because like that's kind of what they taught us at beauty school. Like, because when you're young and you're a hairstylist, like if you walk into a salon and you want to get your hair done and you see somebody that's like brand spanking new out of the school, you're kind of like, are you good?
I don't know everyone used to touch my hair.
Are you gonna try? Are you trustworthy? And it's like, so that was very much like something that they kind of drilled into our heads, because you kind of need to be that way.
I kind of wish that I would have learned some level of that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is coming from someone who I feel like sometimes my lack of self-confidence kind of like oozes out and scares everybody away. And I'm like, oh no, like how do I make it stop? But people have said it's kind of like part of my charm, but I'm like, I don't know, man. It smells kind of like onions. It's kind of nice. I do like the smell of onions, so I don't know why that's a bad thing. But anyway, continue.
No, I think it works out for you though. I think like your mindset works out for you, and I think mine works for me. Like, but I think the hardest part when it came to like specifically like doing the rebrand wasn't necessarily like doing it, because like I was on the phone with my friend and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna change my name and I'm blah blah blah, I'm gonna do this, that, other thing, and she was like, do it now. And I was like, okay. So I just did it, because at first I was like, I'm gonna wait like 6 months and like, you know, kind of like ease into it. She's like, just do it. And I was like, all right. And I'm glad I did it. The hardest part was afterwards and just seeing what changed.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. It wasn't like really doing it, and like I never really feared it. It was just like,
I think that's the biggest thing. No, I
people
think
are gone.
That is the thing, is like, you know, you can do these like moments of like inspiration and like creativity and authentic as well. It's like authentic to you, it's what you want, but there is always like this like weird fallout afterwards. That's also strange too, because it's like, bro, it's just a name change, or like, I'm still me, bro, like what's the problem?
And exactly. And it's like when I was doing flow on stream, I was still doing gaming. Like I started with gaming and I grew really well from gaming, and then I was doing gaming and painting and hula hooping, and then I was like, I'm just gonna do gaming, because I felt like it gave me anxiety every day being like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I was like, I just want to have a plan. When I click go live, I want to be confident about like what I'm doing. And
what was it's making you like anxious about it? Like, is it not?
Because like I guess because you know, like when you click go live, you just never really know how your stream's gonna go. How your stream's gonna go, like how many people are gonna be there, like, you know, is it gonna be hype or not?
Yeah, what is it gonna be hype or not? That's very valid. Yeah.
And so like if I like wasn't gonna hoop that day, I'd be like, okay, are people gonna just come in the whole day asking me like if I'm gonna be hooping?
Would you
or
were you
like
when you were doing your hoop streams, like did you feel that anxiety like as well, or is it more in like your non-hoop days?
A lot of times too, like I would have a lot of people watching, but they don't really chat a lot, which is fine. Like obviously you can lurk if you want. But like when you're hooping and you're like doing it for people and you're doing something that you love to do, like whatever your passion is, like imagine you're doing that in front of a group of people and like you're not sure how people are taking it in.
Yeah, like you don't know. Yeah. Like it's just like, oh, is this just like silence? Like is this just silence?
Versus now, like if people are lurking me in gaming, I don't really have that like anxiety because I'm just kind of like, oh, they're just
I'm just chilling. Like doing my
they're probably gaming too. Yeah. So I don't really think about it that much, but like, or I don't know, it's just weird. And I kind of got that way with painting too, where sometimes I was like, is this bad? Like, are people like judging my paint? Are people like watching me and they're like, this is bad? So I had to like take a break from it for a while.
Yeah.
And I just started, I'm like bringing it back in slowly, and I'm only going to do it when I really want to do it and stuff. Yeah. But that was, I think the hardest part of changing what you're doing on your stream, especially when it's that drastic, like doing a name change or like changing what you're doing.
I didn't realize how drastic a name change was. I'm going to be honest.
It is. And it's crazy because if you watch streamers, guys, like out there in the chat, if you guys watch streamers and you think that we don't think about you guys, like we do, like we notice when people are gone, like we miss you, like, and it's not like to make you feel bad or anything, but it's just like, we do care about the people that hang out with us, like
that hang out with us. Yeah, it's all community. And like, never
seeing them again, it feels like a loss. Like it feels like not seeing a friend anymore, and it's hard. And it's like I'm very grateful because I have people that have watched me since I was playing on my PlayStation 4, and like and it's like it's cool, but it's like you guys are important. You guys are just as important as a streamer, and like as a platform of Twitch, like this platform wouldn't be anything without the community. So
yeah, it's so true.
It's just. Yeah, it's the truth.
I think sometimes like people don't realize like how much power they have, even if they're not like paying, like even if they're not even if they're not paying or like being super like hype or anything like that. It's like sometimes just like saying hi, and like I know even as a viewer as well, like how much it changes my day. It's just like having other people in the chat like say hello to me. I'm like, like it's just so nice. And like a lot of us are just like shut-ins, we don't really like get out much, and it's a cool space to be in. I think I think sometimes like it can be hard as well though. I know for me, and I don't know if you went through this, I feel like I'm healing from this now, but I went through this phase of like, I went through like a lot of loss of like community, and then I got really guarded. Like I kind of didn't want to care about my community like that anymore because the loss hurt so much. Like when I would lose, like, if I maybe wouldn't see somebody again, or like, I've had it when it's like, oh, this person was just here for my birthday and really cool, and now they've just like dropped out of my Discord and dropped out of everything. Like, did I do something wrong? Like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And I would notice things like that, and it would get really I would get really in my head about it too, and I would doubt myself, and then it made me like scared of caring. Like it made me scared because I'm like, I kind of like, it made me nervous. Like I'm like, I don't want to care like too much because it hurts, but like I care anyway because I'm a fucking Pisces, and I can't change that. I can't change that. Like I like people, and I can't change that I care. But it's like, how do I like square that with myself in a way? And I kind of want like, did you go through anything like similar like that when you were going through your big changes?
Yeah, so like when I was going through that thing, that's when I started like being like, well, maybe I just need more boundaries. And it's like, so that's when I started like doing that a little bit, but like in a different, I feel like it was hard because I'm like, I don't want to like not care about these people, but like I also don't want to like get offended or like be overly sensitive to if somebody's like not in my streams for a while, because at the end of the day, it might not even be me. It might be like, oh, they just are busy or like anything,
Like people's like got shit going on in their life, right?
Or they just like don't care about being on Twitch anymore. Because I feel like people definitely go through phases. Like,
I think Twitch like can be definitely a phase thing too. Yeah.
And like 2020 was like very much like a year where people were heavily flowing into Twitch. Like it was a very like incline of viewers. And I think everybody kind of experienced that. And so now it's kind of like leveling back out a little bit. And it's like learning a new lifestyle of like being a streamer and being a content creator on Twitch. Yeah. So
yeah. No, so like, and that kind of goes into like, I think it's like what we ended up titling the stream is like finding your formula, I guess, because it's like during the big increase in like peak of Twitch, it sounded like, you know, you really found your little formula, your little partying, hula hooping, and then when that no longer was working out, like you had to make some difficult decisions, but like just like start to choose yourself and maybe like work through some stuff to do that. And now you feel like you're rebuilding. Do you feel like you're rebuilding like your self-esteem as well? Like,
yeah, I feel like because I did tell you earlier that I feel like I restarted last year.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, that sounds dramatic because I have a lot of people that stuck with me through it. But I feel like this past year was the most lost I've ever felt as a content creator. Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of crazy because I've never felt that way before. But like, yeah, I felt so lost. And it's like, I knew what I wanted to do, but I was always going back and forth with myself. I'm like, am I even good enough for this? Or like, is this not what people want to see? Should I just suck it up and like do something that I think people want to see anyway and like suffer my happiness?
Hope it works out.
Yeah. Because like I didn't know. I was going back and forth of like quitting doing this, and I was like, should I just do this like for fun, like whenever I want, and just go get a job? Like this past year has been like really,
it can be really rough. It sounds really rough. And like, do you know much about like your Saturn return? Like, do you know what that means or what that is?
I do, and I think it's kind of funny why I know this, but because like when the Selena Gomez and like Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber drama was happening, everybody was like, "Oh, Selena Gomez just finished her Saturn return, and like this is a girl who finished her Saturn return," and I was like, "Oh," and so yeah, my friend Carmen was telling me, she's like, "Yeah, you're starting your Saturn return,"
yeah,
and so I think that's like a big thing that's like impacting like why I'm going through this, because I'm kind of like like last year on New Year's I decided to go sober, so I like don't drink or anything.
That's really interesting because there's a few people I know that decided to go sober, and like Saturn Pisces is all about it can be about altered states of consciousness. So like alcohol and being drunk is like a Pisces thing, because being drunk. It's like, dreaming as well, your dreams. Again, it's like this altered state. It's like not you, but it is you. That's ruled by Pisces. So that's really interesting because Saturn's all about like limitations and hard lessons and kind of making like being serious about stuff as well. So like that's really interesting because your Saturn Pisces is in your second house. So that's all about your resources and your self-esteem. So like it would not surprise me if when your Saturn return started, it would be amping up. So like when the planets like do the things, it's kind of like a slow shift of the tides. It's not always like super quick. Like there is some stuff that's happening in the planets actually soon where it's like lightning shit, but your Saturn Pisces, it would have been gearing up to it, but you would have started to like maybe take your self-esteem more seriously, your value more seriously, maybe wanting to work with your sense of your own value. But that would have also spawned from maybe like having a lot of difficulties and feeling very wounded and pained by low self-esteem, low self-worth, and really not understanding your value. I definitely like have and still do struggle with self-worth and like value. And I think this is pretty common amongst like content creators and Twitch streamers in general, is we get a lot of our value from outside sources. So our analytics get sent to us via an email after we end stream. And like, you can't help but be like, look at it, and you can look at it in a healthy way and be like, okay, how can I like be better next time? Like what points of the stream were really good, and like should I take that and incorporate it into the next stream? But like sometimes you just get in too deep, and I know I have, and I think I feel like
most, if not everyone, has gone through that phase where they just go in too deep and they really value themselves from others. And like my thing this past year has been like finding value from myself. Like, that's one of the reasons why I've really gotten into like watching, like doing my editing on like YouTube and stuff, is because like when I go back and watch my clips and like my highlights and stuff, I'm like, I'm funny. Like I'm cracking myself up right now. But like, so like and so I'm just like, this is good. Like it's been nice because I used to not like doing that and now I do. But that's been like one of the things I've really worked on is finding where my value is coming from and making sure it's coming from me and not like, you know, because you could also have like a bunch of people in your chat that day being like, I love you, you're great and you're amazing, and then you can still on stream and be like sad. Like there's been a lot of streams where I've ended and cried. Like, cause I'm like, I'm horrible. I don't know what I'm doing. Like
literally. And it's so crazy too. Cause I think sometimes like self-esteem wounds, like sometimes it really does not matter what anybody says. It does not matter how loved you are by others. It doesn't matter how much you change people's lives. It doesn't matter how much value you really bring. There is a part of you that is just so like, it's like this pit, this lack that cannot be filled by anything outside of you. And the thing, you can get into cycles of like shoveling in like externals, but that thing will always be there until you go in and heal it. And I think like there is a lot of people, like it can feel like kind of shameful, like admitting that you have that, because sometimes it looks like everybody else is like doesn't have that, and like it's like they can look down on that. At least that's my like, that's why I feel ashamed of it sometimes, of like, oh, like I have this thing that just like sucks inside of me. Like it just sucks and I just suck. And it's like I think sometimes like a longer journey than we realize, like kind of going into that, and like the original wounds that are kind of there, which we said we're not going to talk about too. We were like, we don't want to get too deep. Like it's like going. I'm like, wait, we said we will talk about this, so we can. I have people in my life, in my past, that have like said things that have like permanently left things in my brain that I will always go back to. And I was also like, when I was in middle school, I was bullied a lot, and then I also have gone through a lot of different groups of friends. Which when I was going to therapy, my therapist was telling me that she was like, oh, I never got diagnosed, but she was like, it's probably because you're on the spectrum, like you're neurodivergent. And she was like, that's a neurodivergent thing. And she's like, yeah, so I don't think that's weird or anything. But yeah, so I've gone through a lot of times where it's like, I trust somebody really deeply and then they just hurt me, but beyond like saying sorry. Like, you know, it's like traumatizing. Especially like when you grow up in the era of like the beginning of cyberbullying. Like I remember the beginning of it, like being thrown into AOL chat rooms and being like bullied in AOL chat rooms. Like it's humiliating. There's like a lot of like humiliation stuff, and I think the people who went through that, like we all found our way of like coping and like dealing with that, because it's interesting too. It's like when you're different, like how triggering people get how triggered people are about your differences. You just like made me have a flashback of like when I was in middle school, and like I was going to the counselor's office like all the time, and I remember one of the counselors, she was like telling me that, like what you just said, she was like, you're different and like people are gonna like see that in you, and she was like going on and on. So that's like really weird that you just said that. It just reminded me of it. But it's interesting too, because like you'll have these like maybe sometimes these adults, these people in your life that try, like they can see this special thing in you amongst these like waves and like this like almost like this ocean of just like shit moments and shit interactions, and like I almost wonder if sometimes like maybe it is like kind of a a soul goal of ours is to like find that thing that makes us different and like love ourselves for it rather than feel like really awkward and uncomfortable and like ashamed. And like I kind of do get the sense it's like you didn't get a lot of those like lights, if that makes sense. Those like guiding forces that actually reinforce. Like sometimes we get lucky and we get like a good parent or maybe like a good grandma. Like mine was a good grandma.
Yeah.
Like my grandma was very like, you know, I think saw my light for what it was. But like I remember my my parents were very triggered by me. And that can really like F you up in ways you don't even realize until you're an adult. But I found it interesting in your chart, you know, you have a North Node in Scorpio. So that is all about like you learning more about your psychology and like learning more about like your makeup and your deeper feelings and like starting to understand them rather than just trying to avoid them and like or like cope with them. It's like,
right.
You know what, I want to tackle this head on. And even if it might be like kind of like progressive as well, like progressive ways to do it or things that are like kind of different or unique. That North Node Scorpio, I feel like will really power you up like right now, like get more into understanding like why you're smiling.
Yeah. Because I don't know, like, even though I know that a lot of the stuff that I am going through or I'm about to go through, especially with my Saturn return, it's like, I know that at the end of it, I'm going to learn a lot. And I know that I can handle it. Like, I know I can take it on and grow from it. So it's more like, I'm just smiling because I'm just like listening to you. And then I'm just like, oh, okay, this is a
nice
growing
to
time.
know. Yeah. So like, we can go into like your Saturn return a bit. So like you are going through a growing time. Your Saturn is at 5 degrees. So that's all about your confidence and your self-esteem and your creativity and what you do for fun and like what lights you up and the things that feed your light. Your Saturn return is happening in your sun sign, so it's very personal to you. Like there's a few people going through their Saturn returns right now, but because it's Saturn Pisces, it's a really big time for Pisces and a really big time for Virgo. Because it feels really personal. It's really really personal. And it would have been hitting you hardest probably like 4 months ago. You would have been like, oh my God, like what is going on?
That makes sense.
Yeah, because that's when Saturn was to the exact degree of your Saturn and your Mars as well. It's your direction in life. It's interesting too because like you have so you have your Saturn and your Mars conjunct. Your Mars is like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? It's like feeling like you have a direction and it's like tangible, like you have energy for it, you have like motivation for it, you feel good about it, but because your Saturn is on your Mars, like I would not be surprised if like you have struggled with like fatigue, like that you've always just tried to like push on through.
Yeah
And
for sure.
That's like it's important for you to like take that seriously sometimes, of like adapting your direction to like account for fatigue, because you may not do that or you've gone through hard lessons of like making big plans because your Mars is in Pisces, so it's like it's the dreamer and it's very creative and it's very like beyond, so you can have like really big ambitions or make like really big, have really big dreams, but it might not account for fatigue. And it might not account for it's really just because your Mars and your Saturn, they're opposite your Chiron in Virgo, so that's about the body as well. So like chiropractors, like, and they like work with the bones of the body. So that's like that word comes from Chiron. Chiron is he's called the wounded healer. He basically, like, his story is like he's this centaur that gets like disowned by both parents. And it's kind of like it symbolizes this wound that we get given that we didn't ask for. It wasn't a fault of our own. It's kind of like inherited from just the way our parents like treated us. And because yours is in Virgo, it's like perfectionism and always having to like make yourself be perfect. And like always editing and criticizing like yourself.
Yeah.
And like trying to morph it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
It's in retrograde. So yours is like deep and it's like on the inside. It's like about how you feel, like you might feel like there's something like inherently wrong with you compared to everybody else. Like there's something like bad about you or like wrong, like something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that a lot more than probably people think.
Yeah.
I can be pretty open and like pretty honest with how I feel, but I think that most people probably think I only have those thoughts sometimes. And like the people that are closest to me probably know that I have it a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, because a lot of times too, like especially like being like such a big dreamer, a lot of times like I'm always dreaming, like I'm always daydreaming and I'm always thinking about like what I want to do and stuff. But like one of the things I've really been working on is trying to make sure that the things that I want and the things that I'm dreaming about are like they're not above me, they're at the same level as me.
Yeah.
That's been like my goal, because I tend to always think like even Twitch partner, like I'm not partnered on Twitch or anything, like even something like that, I've always thought of it as like it's too good for me, like I can't. So I think that's like one of the things, because like when you have that mindset, a lot of times like you can't attain the things that you want. At least that's how I'm starting to get it
from, like, I guess like an inferior place as well. Like you're coming at it from maybe even just unconsciously like an inferiority complex, like where you feel like, you know, it's not something that's on the same level as you, so it's something that you might have to like overcompensate. Like if something's above you and like you're here and the thing is here, it's like all the shit you have to do to try and bridge that gap like isn't organic, isn't authentic, because and it's like you're approaching it from, you know, like self-doubt, you know, and like how much energy it kind of even takes to overcome that, and to even maybe like overcome like how critical, like do you like criticize like yourself a lot? Like is it like criticism?
I do. It's criticism, and it's just like overall self-worth in general is just something that I've always had a problem with. But it's like for me, I even do it with like friends sometimes, like because like I said, I've had a lot of times where I would be friends with somebody and they would leave, which now as I'm getting older, I'm starting to learn like sometimes some friends are like just there for a season and they're like not meant to be in your life forever. And then you do have friends that are, you know, I have friends that I've had for a long time, like 15 years or whatever. But just having those few experiences of friends where they, you know, kind of up and leave out of your life.
Yeah.
I still to this day sometimes like think like people that I'm friends with they're just better than me. Like I'm not even like on the same wavelength as them. Like, and that's always been a struggle. Or if like we don't talk for a long time, it's like not something that bothers me that we're not talking. It's more like
anxious, like it's like an anxiety starts to grow.
I'm like,
the more time.
Did they realize that I'm not good enough and they're not gonna talk to me anymore? Are they gonna come back into my life when I like prove myself or something? Like I go down that
when you're on your I mean your happy phase, right? When you're the party girl where everything's going right for you and like you're successful, then like people are gonna love that, but they're not here for like maybe when you're feeling kind of stinky or like you're feeling kind of normal, like actual normal people like usually feel this way and go through those kind of things.
Exactly. It's hard. It's hard, and it's like I wanted to talk about this because I feel like it has made a really big impact on I do.
I can tell by the way that your energy's like shifted, and I feel really emotional. Like I feel really
I am too. I am
so
too.
sad like hearing about this, because I think it feels like definitely like a neurospicy problem, like, you know, on the spectrum problem where, you know, from a young age, it's like you're sometimes maybe like you're observing a lot. You're observing, you're watching how everybody else is like interacting and how they have friendships and how they treat one another. And it can be really difficult when like you're noticing that you're getting treated differently. And you don't understand why. And, you know, there's not adults, there's not that guidance, there's not that support, and all there is left sometimes is like personal analysis of like and comparison and like comparing yourself. And it like, this is not just like a one-time traumatic thing that happens. This is like kind of like death by 1,000 cuts, where it happens like over and over and over and over, and it generates this like this thing grows inside you that like thinks you're the problem. And it makes me so sad, because it's like, I don't know, it's like you're such a light. Like, and your differences are really what make you beautiful. And I hate that you feel that way about yourself, and that people did those things, because it's like, it really leaves you with this like kind of scar that sometimes feels unhealable. But I think your Saturn return is showing you like it is healable. It is healable. And in fact, it like kind of becomes your superpower, you know, like to be weird and funny and quirky and you and like, you know, you have so many placements in the 11th house as well. Like this, your chart really has a vibe of like, I'm gonna make my own community, I'm gonna make my own like friendship groups that work in the way that like my friendship, like that I work in my friendships, because you know, the thing is, the people who have stuck around by you too, they're probably on the spectrum too, baby. So guys, if you are in love with Nikki, you're probably on the spectrum too. Just saying. Just news announcement, newsflash. You're probably on the spectrum too. But I think that's the thing too, is like, I think that's one of the great things about Twitch, is that like people on the spectrum, we're kind of like finding each other, and
yeah, for sure,
creating those experience, like the new types of friendships. And I think part of it too, like, and I don't know if this is me being too much of a deep bitch, but like I do think it's like there's a level of like collective kind of like, we heal together from our like past painful experiences, and like we're learning
I believe that
to heal our hearts. And that, so in your form that you filled out, so if anyone is interested in being a guest on the podcast, like I have a form you can fill out. You are welcome to fill it out. If I recognize your name, obviously I'm gonna have a bias. I'm probably gonna invite you. Yeah, but fill it out anyway. But there's a thing on there where it's like you pick an animal and you choose a color and you choose a number, and it gives me so much information about somebody. And you had a green fox, and it was number 4, and that was all about you are healing. Green is the heart chakra, so it's really about like love, it's about healing, it's about you rejuvenating yourself again as well, especially if you were feeling depleted. You're like regenerating yourself, and you're learning how to grow, but it's like natural. It's green, you got green grass, green trees everywhere. It's like how you grow and how you flourish. You're learning how you flourish. And the fox is about adaptation, but there's sometimes like I feel like fox is like a very spicy symbol as well, because it's like it watches, it does watch, and it does observe, and it figures out who is safe and who is not, and who it can approach and who it can't. But they're very creative. Like they know how to adapt. But they sometimes have to trust themselves. Like they have to trust and believe that they can adapt. So with the green fox, I feel like it's like you're healing your instincts.
Yeah.
You're healing your instincts and like trust in yourself, and you're healing like your instincts around your creativity. And then you chose the number 4. So this is about doing it in like a stable, safe, secure way. Like you're kind of building and fleshing out this like new little kind of like a system for yourself, maybe like a routine for yourself, like something that feels safe, like something that you can always go back to. And it's like knowing yourself, like knowing like the different things you can do to like, well, force it. It's like pillars. You know, it literally gives you your security. Think of like 4 legs on a table, 4 walls of a room, you know, it's like creates this like safe container that you can always go back to when you're struggling. And like also being able to recognize too, like what are the 4 things that like are core to you that, you know, you might need to like go and give it energy and go and like give it some love when it needs it to keep you sane. And it's like these building blocks so that you can grow and do creative stuff, because creativity is a number 5. So but you need stability first. It's like you need some like your foundations. And I think it's really big that your husband was like, yo, like I just want you to be happy, because I kind of bet that like you ain't ever felt like you were loved like that before. Like where someone is like, yo, I will be your foundations because I want to see you grow.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually so true, because, oh my God, it's like a cry.
I know. I feel like girl.
Sorry, but it's true. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like very grateful to be loved like that today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's oh gosh.
Sorry.
Oh, no,
You said it. I'm just kidding. No, because I was literally crying to him about this other day. I was like just telling him how grateful I am for him. But
yeah, it's so healing to be loved even when you feel quite flawed. Like at the time, you know, in the moment, like you're loved in a way where like you can't and don't maybe love yourself, and they see things oh gosh about you that's like really lovable about you when you don't even love yourself. And it's really special. It's really special. It
totally is.
And he's like your little mirror of how special you really are, Nikki, like for real. And you're married, so they can't he's like fully there, you know. Like I feel you, because I'm married now too, so it's like it's so interesting like what happens when you're like, oh gosh, like this person really is like committed to loving me, and like they're really there, like, you know, it's not just it's real, like it's real. It really is real love, and it's like it kind of penetrates through this wound that we have, and it makes us realize like maybe there is a future and like a beyond this. And you know what, like maybe one day I will love me like my partner loves me. Is he a Virgo? What is he?
He's a Taurus.
He's a Taurus. I love that. I love that.
I feel like he keeps me grounded.
Yeah, he feels like earthy energy. I was like, he's one of the 3. He's one of the 3 earth signs. My God.
No, it's special, and it's funny too, because you even say that I was the person like when I was growing up, like before I met him, when people would ask me out as a joke in school. So like, it was like it was like a funny thing, like a part of my bullying that I went through. So
I'm just like shooting them. I'm psychically attacking them right now. I'm sending like, bad energy to those people. God damn it.
Yeah. I know. And it's like I've been with him for a long time, so it's like not something that necessarily I think about, but I think it's hitting me more because I'm starting to discover a lot about like my self-worth and my self-love and everything like that, and just healing. Yeah.
And you know, that's like Saturn. I think sometimes I don't know, it's like we can almost like expect like, oh, I should have been like over this, or like I'm this age and I'm only just doing this, and it's like, babe, like you're so far,
you kind of block it out.
You're so far ahead of the curve, like you don't even realize, like so many people don't address these kind of problems. And you know, your Saturn return is a coming of age. It is like a huge maturation phase. And to tell you like a bit more about your Saturn return, it really is about like you. This is not the era of like blowing up your career, like super fucking thriving in your career path. Like, I mean, that might end up happening, but it's not gonna be this like thing. Like, this really is about you. Like, this is your season of self-discovery. This is your season of healing. So your Saturn return, it rules Capricorn, and you have 2 planets in Capricorn, which is like a generational thing. Generational placement. You have Neptune in Capricorn and Uranus in Capricorn. So like you're going to be healing your abandonment wounds, rejection wounds, fear of not being good enough. It's it's kind of the neurospicy thing too. Uranus is like very like, it's weird, it's awkward, and you're healing those things about yourself, like the feelings that you have about being weird, being awkward, being different. So this is your season of healing. You're finding your creativity. I would say too, I think beyond this too, like you're finding like your sense of purpose. And it's going to be completely different from what you thought your sense of purpose was like 2 years ago. Like,
yeah, I kind of had a feeling.
Yeah, it's funny though too. It's funny because like, you know, I think sometimes we can think we've really figured it out as well. Like, I don't know, like when you were successful, like how, you know, you're like, oh yeah, I've got this figured out. And then like your Saturn return hits and you're like, oh, yeah, you're like, wait, I don't know shit. I don't know shit. So this is like you're finding your sense of purpose in a way that's like authentic to you. Your sun is trying your north node in Pisces, so like this is a big thing of like, are you still in therapy?
No, I actually do get it through my husband's like health insurance now or whatever. Right. So I'm gonna be starting it back up, but I haven't yet.
I was gonna say, I gotta like this would be a good time to like, you know, get into your the self-esteem stuff in therapy and like kind of rehashing those like 11th house is like, it's kind of like high school communities, like groups of people, like your trauma around like groups, friendship groups,
oh my god, yeah,
like that is like trying your sun. That will probably happen in like a few months time. Let me just check where Saturn is right now, because it goes retrograde for a little bit too, so it's gonna like, you're probably gonna have like another like, oh fuck, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life moment in. Great,
Carmen, write that down.
Yeah, I can tell you the dates.
Oh my god,
I'll tell you the dates so we can look out for it.
She's gonna be the one that I'm gonna be like,
yeah. Let me see crazy. When does it go retrograde? When's your shit? Okay, let me see, because I know for me it goes like retrograde all the way to the point. Okay, it doesn't super hit. Okay, no, it's not gonna hit your Saturn or your Mars again, so you actually are gonna feel like pretty set. But let me just see when it hits your sun, because it does hit your sun. So this is really about like who you are and how you feel about you. I think you have. I'm envious because I think you're kind of like safe for a good while. Yeah, it's like March 2025. So like this time next year is gonna be like, I feel like this is where it's like feels like things are coming to like fruition. So I would say maybe like in the next 6 months, if you can like start therapy, like that would be a good time to kind of like aid in that process of like, I think your biggest block, like just looking at your chart, is like unprocessed psychological wounds around groups of people, abandonment, rejection, being neurospicy, being the reject, being the reject, but you're also the rebel, like, and you're also like marching to the beat of your own drum. Like that's kind of the energy like you want to get into. So sometimes you have to kind of gut out all of those painful rejection moments, those times where you felt rejected. This is all in the sign of Scorpio, so this is gonna suck feeling it.
Okay.
It's gonna suck. Like, you know, there's parts of your chart, especially with like your 5th house placements, and you have your Pisces stuff in the 3rd house. Like you like to keep it light. Like you don't really want to go there. You don't really want to like be reminded of that. But if you don't address it, like it will just, it's always there. Like that's why you have these like floating around anxieties and floating around fears. It's because you've not addressed those painful moments.
Right.
When you address those painful moments and like really kind of face them and like cry, like even if it's an ugly cry, like Scorpio is about like kind of like getting ugly and getting into the thick of things. Like once you've had like your snot nose cry about it and like really felt it, you're kind of it clears it out. It clears it out of your system. Scorpio rules the asshole. It's about letting shit go.
Yeah.
Remember, you can remember that. Yeah, Scorpio rules the sphincter. And it's about powers of like, it's like pushing through shit so you can like let it go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's funny because like I started doing that with therapy, and then like when I stopped going, it was like I just.
Oh, you're gonna kind of want to avoid it because it's it's all in your 11th house. So like, I'm gonna do like an impression of your chart, and it might be personal, but it's like, okay, I've heard enough now. I've worked through enough shit. Time to focus on my ambitions and dreams again. I'm gonna manifest this new thing. You have Jupiter there too, so that's like a bit of it could be like kind of delulu, like, I'm gonna do this, and this is gonna be great, and it's gonna like work out for me, and like I don't need to look at my anatomism anymore, like, because I'm done with it. I've cried, like I did like 6 months of therapy. I'm done with it now. Let's do this. This is gonna go great for me.
Yeah, that is pretty much what I do.
Yeah, and like, there's it's really good for you to feel those depths of your feelings. Like, it is your superpower. Like, as a North Node Scorpio, like I'm a North Node Scorpio too, different house, but it still tracks. Like, you're gonna have a tendency to like want to avoid looking at that darker stuff because it's like you'll get like I don't know, it's almost like you've built like your little boat to survive life shit, but you still got all these like demons on your boat, and it's like, you know what, but at least I'm still sailing. Like, I can deal with these like crap thoughts and this low self-esteem and these shit things, and it can feel like, your little boat with your demons in aren't gonna make it sailing through like that ocean of like, it can just feel like it's gonna dismantle your system that works so far, even if it still sucks. Like,
right.
your system that you have in place to like deal with things. It's like, okay, well, this is still kind of like comfortable. This kind of still works. But when you really start hashing this shit out, and again, like, you're always going to have opportunities to do this, but like, honestly, like this period of time, like with your Saturn return, like Saturn rewards like hard work. Saturn rewards people who are like, you know what, I'm actually going to take this shit seriously. And because you're this is like all trine. So basically like all of this Pisces Saturn return stuff, it's like talking to these abandonment wounds, these rejection wounds. But this is all, if you want your dreams and if you want to have and achieve these ambitions, like you have to get through this wall, like, because it is
right.
And the irony is like, it really is like your shadow shit that's in the way.
Yeah,
like, it really is yourself that's in the way. And I think you've started to like know that. Maybe.
Yeah, I definitely have been able to like kind of, and not in a way where I'd put myself down, but kind of just know like, okay, this is definitely something that needs to be addressed. Because at the same time, like, I don't want to get there and then not be able to fully enjoy it, because I'm going to go through
this. You've had success. You've had success. And it wasn't what you thought it was because of like certain things you hadn't like worked through.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
It didn't solve the problem. Like, you were making like thousands of pounds a week, like thousands of dollars a week.
Yeah.
You had like thousands of subscribers at some point. Like, you were making partner. Like, you had all these things that like you thought were benchmarks to success, but like it didn't fix that wound.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like, and so like this is like, once you kind of go in and heal it, you're gonna have like your real version, like your real success. Like, that's actually gonna mean and matter something to you. But I think a big part of it is you hashing out those rejections and group. It's all about group stuff and group perception and community. Like, that's a huge thing, because like part of your like kind of talking more of like your formula, and we can pull some cards and shit and we can get more into like the lighter side of stuff. But like talking on like your formula stuff, like your so if anyone ever wants to like kind of figure out like what would be a good career path for them, you want to look at your midhaven. You want to look at the planet that rules your midhaven and like what sign and what house it's in. And there's a couple of like indicators as well of like what you'd be good at and like how you find your little thing. So like your midhaven is in Libra. So
minus?
Yeah, your midhaven is in Libra. But
I guess who else are you talking to?
What's that? Yeah, like
No,
it's chat. Chat's midhaven is in Libra. Yeah, so
yeah.
You're like kind of like peak of like what you're remembered for, and like what people remember you for is their relationship with you, how you make them feel, and it's their relationship with you, like how you relate with people. So your midhaven Libra, like your part of your success is your relationship with people, and it's like your one-to-one relationships with people. So
that's really interesting.
Why?
I just think, well, because like I never thought that. I guess it's because I just never thought that I like, this goes back to like my self-worth. So I guess it's just I never thought that I would even be something to be. This sounds kind of sad saying it out loud, but like I guess it's just I never thought that that's something people would remember me for.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
that's just interesting.
It's their relationship with you. It's like the thing is too, like Libra as well, very funny, very funny.
Not my Libra bestie in the chat.
yeah, and you know, it's like there's a relatability. Now it's so Libra, like with your Libra midhaven, chatting, your relationships are like going to be super key in like your success, like how you relate with things. So you know, that can include things like how you, like you're playing video games and like you're reacting together. That is a relationship. That is a form of a relationship. But also too, like how you speak with people and how you interact with people is like pretty key in your success. So then Libra is ruled by Venus. So then you look at Venus. So this is like your second added ingredient. So like, okay, your primary is like you having relationships. It's at 11 degrees, which is that neuro-spicy community degree of like, I'm going to make my own little weird faction of humanity over here because like we're all like the social rejects, the outcasts, the weirdos. That's like gonna be like your umbrella, like, and then your additional flavors to that. So you have a Venus Aries. So that is that energy. That is that like bright energy that you bring. And it's very like, you have to listen to your instincts and you have to give yourself enough freedom to do what you want. It's so key. Like Venus Aries, you will get these like creative sparks of like inspiration and you have to follow it. You can't get so in your head about like how everyone else is going to feel about it. Cause like it's funny too, because your Venus is opposite your midhaven. So this is always going to be something like you're going to maybe have to contend with. And it's almost like ironic in a way where like, basically like if you trust yourself, Aries is yourself as well. If you trust yourself to like do your spark and do what feels good for you, everyone else will probably love it. Everyone else will probably love it. But what sometimes you might do is like barter with like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is my creative spark. And now I'm going to like monitor the shit out of it. And like, I'm going to start thinking about how everyone else feels about it and like how will they react about it. And like you start to weigh it up against how everyone else might feel. Libra is the scales. So
I was really about to say that. Yeah,
Libra is the scales. So it's like you start weighing up your authentic like spark of creativity and interest, and you start weighing up with like everybody else. But the thing is, it's like everybody else, I don't know what that noise is. Hello?
Oh, Lucas! I see it. I see the chat.
Thank you so much.
Let's go. Oh,
holy moly.
I didn't know if there was no alert.
I just screamed again. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby. Thank you, Lucas. I think that's a plus of like what we were saying though, of literally like when you do like your thing, like everyone loves that.
Yeah,
everyone
it's so funny. Because like, you know how I told you I started my React channel or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah, so like I was just like it was funny because me and Carmen, we do things a lot at the same time, and we were both like, let's just start a new channel, and then we both just started it, and like, and then it's just both of us have been feeling really good about it, and so it's funny that you say that because I do that. I get like inspired and I just do it, and then it goes really well, and then I start to like weigh in like the other stuff.
No, then you just listen to your next thing that you want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
That's part of your formula. So like your relationships are always gonna. So this weighing up thing, if you ever want to like weigh up or you need to get that like energy out of you, just be like, you can maybe channel it in a way of like, oh, I'll just like relate with people instead. Like I'll just like back and forth with people rather than weighing up in myself. It's like, no, like I'm just gonna like share it with other people instead.
Yeah.
Because that kind of like is a way to get that energy out of you, but it's gonna be in like instincts. Like you are gonna be working with like your instincts. But yeah, like your Aries Venus is like, you have to listen to like what you're in the mood for, like maybe on that day. It's in the 3rd house as well. So that's like, it's gonna change. Like 1 minute you're gonna be like, okay, I kind of want to do this. And then you're gonna do it for a bit. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna want to do this and do it.
I feel like I've been like that my whole life.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, yeah, I would be. Cause I've never like stuck to like when I was doing sports and stuff growing up, it was never like I did the same thing. Like for a bunch of years, like I was like, I did gymnastics, I did swimming, I did like, I tried out for volleyball. I did like all these different things. I did guitar lessons. It's just like, I never.
One thing that will stay consistent is going to be your relation, like how you have good relationships with people. So like you can let like your creativity and like what you want to do change, but like you're always probably going to have like the same people. Like what people are always going to remember you for and like come back for is the relationship with you.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Which, did you hear that?
Is that thunder?
Yeah. It's still going.
What the fuck?
That was big. That was a big thunder.
Wait, what did I just say before that happened?
I don't even know, but you know what's weird? Like, you brought up lightning earlier.
Did I?
You said something about like, you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna come.
Yeah, because I was thinking about how like some astrology stuff, like it doesn't have an immediate effect. It like kind of comes in slowly over time, but there is a thing that is happening. So Jupiter is conjuncting Uranus. Which, oh my god, that's really weird because Uranus is lightning as well. It like has like lightning energy. It's Zeus.
That's weird.
And Jupiter makes everything big and exciting. So that was like Jupiter and Uranus right there, big thunder. but I think it might have been symbolic too, though, of like what we were just saying. Like you just had like a big sound happen. So I'd say it's like let's drill it in again. That like the thing that's like you can change up what you like and what you fancy doing, what you're in the mood for, like what gives you energy and like what you enjoy is going to change like day to day, maybe even minute to minute. And that's okay. Like what will stay somewhat like consistent and good for you is always going to be like, and how people like relate with you, how they feel about you, like their relationships to you. But one of your problems is like you keep getting in the way of that. Like you keep hijacking like what you're in the mood to do because you keep weighing up against other people. But like in fact, like as long as you're trusting yourself to like do that creative thing that you're in the mood for, everyone else will follow. Yeah,
that makes sense. Because I mean, I've done, anybody that has watched my streams from the beginning will be like, I always am changing up what I'm doing, but it's like I never, and I always will like change up something and then I'll be like, oh no, like this is gonna be like, people aren't gonna like this, people are gonna leave and stuff. But instead of like looking at it like that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna change it and it's gonna be fine because like my stability is within like my relationships with people that I'm meeting and like I'm contacting myself with. Like
people like to be around you. Just people like to be around you.
I'm literally shook because I would always base a lot of my decisions around what I thought other people would just want to see or like want for me. But
that's sometimes going to be like dictated by your rejection wound. Yeah, like there's a part of this where it's like, you know, you've built up this cool stuff, you have these cool relationships, now you're being paid for it, and then it's like, oh god, like I'm used to people like leaving me and getting bored of me and switching up on me, and that's your past. that's your past. Like, and maybe sometimes it's like manifested into the present as well. Like maybe you've been attracted to certain personality types that are gonna bail, because sometimes like we kind of have to reenact certain wounds until we address them. Sometimes we're gonna get like attracted to the very same people who are gonna repeat our past for us, because that's what is going to make us address it. Like even just on a psychological level, like it just is what it is. But it's like that's going to ease off for you, like it, as you kind of work through like this rejection stuff. It's gonna help you with that as well, because it's like, the thing is too, when you start weighing it up against other people, you're rejecting yourself. Like you're rejecting like what it is that you want to do. But I feel like, because this is your season of discovery, I think that you're going to start learning to trust that again. Like you're going to start trusting your instincts again, and give yourself enough like freedom and space to do it. I would almost say like, don't make any contracts. Like don't make any like solid plans of like what you think this one thing you're meant to do is. Like it's actually all about you creating space for you to have the freedom to do whatever it is that you want.
Being flexible in it.
Yeah, being flexible, because this thing is in the third house. It's like it's gonna it's like changes like the wind. It's mutable air. It's Gemini, so it's like 1 minute it's gonna blow one way, and then the other minute it's gonna blow the other way. And it's all about you like vibing with that, and like let yourself get like excited about that rather than feeling like it's doomed. Because the thing is too is like, if you're because you have a Libra midhaven, you might like compare yourself of like, okay, like, but everyone else who's successful is just like sticking at this one thing, or everyone else who's successful, they just like do this thing, so like and it's like, no, like you're a neurospicy little special case scenario. Like you're but then you'll realize that most people who are successful at what they do is they're just following that formula. They're
right.
just
Everybody has
thing.
a different one.
Everyone has a different one. And like this one's yours. Like you don't have any, like you have a couple of things in your chart that says like you might like routine, and because it gives you like an emotional sense of stability. But I don't see like anything in your chart that says like really big plans and like long-term plans. Like you have to learn to like pivot, like, because that's how you work naturally. Because I think even if you do make a big plan, like you'll just get bored because there's a plan in place. You'll start to not like it just because there's a plan. Yeah,
that's so true. I feel like whenever I do make plans or goals, it tends to be like a lot of short-term stuff.
Yeah.
Like I tend to gravitate towards that. And I think that's just like because I know probably deep down, like, oh yeah, I'll probably get bored or not want to do it or whatever, which makes sense. It does. And it's funny that you're saying that.
Trust yourself?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I question myself a lot, and a lot of times I feel like I have to tell somebody else like what I'm thinking so that I can get reassurance from somebody else, and they'll be like, yeah, that's a great idea, or that's a great thought, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm not. Like I struggle with me just telling myself, well, this is a good idea, and then just like doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just like having a look in your chart and see if there's like a bit of a thing for that, because I think it's good that it's funny. Did you say Carmen's a Libra?
Yeah, because it's funny, and we're both Taurus moons.
It would make sense that you'd go to Carmen like as well to get like a validation on your ideas, like because she's gonna be that like sweet spot like for you. I think too, it's like, I think it's just going to be as well, like practicing your instincts. Like maybe you can try to like practice like, okay, like I've had this idea, like what if I let myself like do it because I want to, and like see how you feel about it. And then even maybe you can then introduce it to your friend like after you've done it, like, and just like a double check. But like maybe you could try that too, because I think the thing is like with an Aries Venus, it like needs freedom to just do it. But what's happening is like you're still having to like get permission. Like somebody else outside of you is the authority on it. It's like,
oh yeah,
like it's like, yeah, like you're asking someone like it's like higher than you for permission. And I guess ultimately it's like, because you're so creative, like you kind of want to just like trust your intuition, like learn to trust your intuition a bit on things. It's like, it's okay to like pass it by somebody when you don't, but it's like you're not going to learn to develop trust in yourself if like you're always like getting reassurance.
Yeah.
Like every time.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why it can like, you know, I think Carmen's like a real one. So I want to be considered with her. But like, I wonder if in the past when you've like set yourself up for like betrayal, it's like because you put a lot of weight on how other people feel and other people's like permission to do things and other people's opinions about you and what they think of you. So it can really, really hurt like when those people like let you down or don't give you that permission. Like and sometimes as well it can be it's like unintentionally disrespecting yourself. Like and like undermining yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. It is like that. I'm basically putting myself lower than others by doing that for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know that because I know that's how I think about myself, but I don't think I really put the two and two together that I do that because of that. I just was like,
yeah,
I don't know. I just didn't.
You're an Aries Venus, so like there's a valid side of this where it's like you're just maybe sometimes like excited to share your idea. Like it's just gonna be so exciting. You're just gonna want to share it. I'm just thinking too of like how to help that like up and down, because it's funny too because your midhaven's at the top of your chart and like this. And this Aries is at the top. So this really is like literally describing that dynamic of where you put other people like above you and put their opinions above you. And it's so funny though, because you have all of the like so many planets at the bottom of your chart, like you have enough and then but you keep going to like outside. And I think this just has to be a balance, I think sometimes. So I think like during your Saturn return, like how letting yourself have that just like intuitive creative freedom a little bit to like just give yourself permission like on the day, like on it, because maybe it's a bit different with like ideas, but maybe if you're like on a stream and you're like, okay, I'm kind of feeling like this, okay, you know what, I'm kind of feeling like ending stream, okay, I'm kind of feeling like I want to like edit this video on stream. Do it. Like don't do a poll in chat to get them to vote on what you're gonna do. I don't know if that's what you do, but that could be a thing that you do.
I do that. Right, mods? Because literally all my mods are here.
I hate you. I hate that you do that.
I do that. Yeah. Well, I feel like I don't do it as much anymore because now feel like
you realize too, it's like if the vote doesn't go the way you want it, then you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I used to do that with just movie nights. Like I would like have everybody vote on a movie, and then I'm like, these people that aren't voting aren't even
don't even show up.
Coming.
They don't even show. Yeah.
Or like you do the thing that people vote for, and then like you're like okay, chat is dead, like is this not working or whatever, rather than like now
I thought this is what you wanted.
Yeah. Now I kind of
yeah, it really
I do what I want more now, but I do sometimes fall on that thing where I'm like, okay guys, what should we do? Should we do this instead?
Yeah. So it'll be good for you to like almost give yourself like, it's like you have to kind of give yourself a level of like freedom to like let the answer come. So it can't have like those expectations or obligations. So just like getting into a simple habit of like, what am I really in the mood for? What if no one was around, if no one was even here, like what would I be doing? And then do that.
Yeah. Just do whatever I'm feeling like doing that day. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's like that's your formula in your chart, like not even knowing like this is in your chart that's like what will work for you. That will be what works for you. And then like whilst you're doing that thing, you can still focus on your relationships with people, like with your audience, like when they do come in, like you can still do that, and that will work, like because then you're meeting both sides of things. You know, you're giving both enough, and then in turn it's going to make you feel like good enough. You have, so your midhaven is Libra. So that's about your relationships. Like people are always going to remember you for the relationships that they have with you, no matter how much time passes. Like they're always going to kind of come back because of the relationship that they have with you. Libra rules your seventh house. You have an empty seventh house, but you have like Gemini and Cancer there. So it's going to be about like your quick-witted humor. Like people are going to remember that. But then Cancer is there too. So they're always going to remember like how you made them feel and that you cared about them, like that you care.
One of the things that I have a viewer that tells me like this all the time, that like that I've helped them like feel and like helped them like really connect with their feelings and stuff. And so it's funny that you say that, because I think that even though I've always looked at it, or I have always looked at it as like something that is like a burden, like me being really open and being really emotional, like I cry and like I talk about my feelings and stuff. I feel like that could be something that could be a positive for me, because
it is. I think it's like something that it's like very valuable, especially because you have a Taurus moon. Like that really is like tangible value.
Yeah. It totally makes sense. It really does. Because it's like I even tried to go through a phase, because I have a friend who like, she could be really emotional and then she goes on stream and you wouldn't even know. Like it's like
it's crazy, you know. What works for
and
some
I tried
people,
doing that.
Like it really, you know, it's everyone is so different. Everybody is so different, and sometimes it's so healing to watch somebody feel their emotions. And like the thing is, like there is an aspect to it where it's like, okay, maybe like this may not appeal to like thousands and thousands of like simpy men who will like give me lots of money all the time. Like, because a lot of them don't want to feel their feelings, because if they did, then they you know, there's just certain things that's like they might not feel comfortable with. But like, but what it will get you is like people who are like you, and there will be people who like need that and will root to the end of the world like for that, because of how impactful like that is. And it might not be like the popular option, because I imagine the friend that can get emotional and just goes live, like, do they seem like quite successful like analytically?
Oh, well, to me,
yeah. So like, you know, and I think it's one of those where it's like, you know, it might kind of garner popularity, but at the same time, like it's not always, like it feels like you don't really need to go for like the popular option. Like you're kind of going more for like what's real. And what's real for you. And I think sometimes that can be really, really impactful, because I also think too, like with the stuff in your chart with all of this 11th house stuff, you're like kind of like a humanitarian. Like you do want to like help people with in some way. I think that like kind of inspires you, is like the knowing that like you're helping. And yeah, because it's in Scorpio, it is about feelings. It's helping people like feel things, and especially too like exposing like the underbelly that I think a lot of people tend to hide as well, is like a bit of a superpower of yours. Because, you know, we all know we can go into like any chat room and like have like a surface level conversation with someone, but like, you know, it's like they can come to you and they can get something real.
Yeah, that's it's so crazy, because like I do want to do stuff with like my content in general where I help people, and I always am like, okay, how can I do this though? Like I don't know, I don't know. And it's just like I think it's just about I think I just need to go on. Just me.
Yeah.
I think it's just about, like, it sounds weird saying, but I think it's just about me, like being myself.
Yeah,
like,
it's just about you. Yeah, literally it's you being yourself. And I think, you know, I think too, I'd say anytime you kind of go through like a deep emotional like realization, or moment where like you've gone through your feelings and you feel transformed, I think you should speak about it. I think you should speak about like your transformations and the things that like you're changing or realizing about yourself. I think is really powerful. Like this is like on your astrology chart stuff. Like, because and you have a north node there. So like your soul wants to do that. Like it wants to start learning how to share more and talk more to others about like struggles. Like sometimes, again, it's that Scorpio, so sometimes it is that darker underbelly that sometimes people don't want to address, but it's really powerful when you do. And when it also like generates as well like a lot of like respect, and people will trust you. I think that's one of the big things as well, is like people really trust you. And I think that's what will always have people kind of like coming back to you as well, is because like they really feel like there is like a trustworthy like intimate relationship there, even if it is online, even if it is on Twitch. Like it doesn't, like it's still, those feelings can still be there.
Wow. This is crazy, but I mean, it's all good information. Like, it's just something I definitely think I needed to hear for sure. Like, I don't know. It's just like when you're a content creator, or like if you get heavily involved in any industry, I think that there's always going to be people that tell you, oh, well, this thing worked for me. And so you think that that's what you have to do to like, to get there. And it feels like like for me, when I was trying really hard to like push my emotions aside or like, you know, be something that I wasn't for stream or like just put on a happy face because
You're
like
also
I feel like I have to.
neurodivergent. Like that's
Yeah.
we have to remember that too. Like neurodivergent people, like we can't always just like push our feelings to the side like that. Like we can't. It's like you have this like stake sticking out of you, and like you're pretending that it's not there. And it's like, and you also too feel like it's like very obvious and that everyone can see it as well. Like sometimes I actually can't though, but like for you, it's like I can't pretend because like my brain doesn't work like that. Like I can't pretend that this isn't something that's like going on or this is how I'm feeling. Like it feels so weird to try and do that. I feel like
my face is very readable, but like I guess I like, you know, and it's like it's like whenever I try to push like against it, it just always, it felt like it was always like fighting back. Like it was just like, no, don't do this. Like this isn't gonna work. And then I'd be like, well, why doesn't this work for me? And it's like you do have to like really take the time to figure out what sort of formula is gonna work for you in any industry.
Yeah. And this will all be about you as an individual. Like, and I know that's like kind of cliche because I think that's like what people say. Yeah, there's like you have these people who like are set like maybe try and sell the solution of like this is what I did and blah 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 and like you know, and maybe you can take bits that might resonate with you personally, and it resonates because it like makes sense for you. But I think eventually like most like successful people, it's like the key words is like this is what worked for me. It's about you. And I think sometimes the problem with like neurospicy people, so like neurodivergent people, like they're very creative. They're very, very, very creative. And like early society did not nourish that. They didn't help them like do that. And unless you got very lucky with like an educated parent or an open-minded parent or, you know, really good teachers or like good family members that like really learn to shepherd that and guide it, most of the time it kind of turns inwards and becomes this like self-destructive tool to compare yourself against normal functioning society. And it fucks you up and it turns this like really creative, beautiful thing into like thorns that like wrap around you and like become damaging to yourself. And I think there's so many people I know that like they're like finally growing out of that now. They're finally moving out of that. They're learning how to like make that move on the outside and whatever way you want to like look at it, whether you want to understand it as like the neurotypical world versus like the like neurodivergent and neurotypical, like, you know, if you want to have it's like, okay, my brain just works differently. Why am I, you know, and I think there is like almost like a movement of embracing like that weirdness, you know, and that difference. But there is that part where you're kind of untangling the damage so that you can be that. But that is such a beautiful part of the journey too, because then that then also kind of becomes your message and it kind of becomes like your uniting factor. Because I bet there's so many, the people who are like closest in your community and the chorus part of your community have also equally gone through those same wounds that you have of like rejection, social rejection, being bullied, being the butt of the joke, not feeling good enough, not feeling cool enough, like, and you're I feel like this, not just your Saturn return, but like I feel like it's almost like what you can become is this like beacon of like weirdo. And the thing is as well is like you see people's like worth and like beauty like so much. Like I know like when I've come to you about my content stuff, you're like, yeah, Lisa, like I think you'll be really, really good at this. And like you're always so like speak so much life into people. And I think we really fuck ourselves over by like trying to follow like wait, is it neurotypical the normal people? I don't know. I don't know which
who's like, normal, really?
Like there's the neurodivergent is like the odd.
I think that sounds neurotypical. That's the right term, right?
Yeah. I think it's neurotypical. It's like we're trying to like, Revenge says as well, like square peg in a round hole. Exactly. Yeah, NT is normal. Okay, for whatever. Right. And that's just like even just down to like brain wiring, like how their brain functions. Like neurotypical people, like they relate with each other through experiences. Like we share about our experiences and talk about like, oh, like you went through that. Oh, like, oh my God, I relate with that because I went through this too. And like neurotypical people find that rude. Like, you know, just their brains are just wired different.
Yeah.
They're just wired differently. And like,
wow,
you know, they're sometimes going to be like offended, but that's just what I'm trying to say is we can bound ourselves up in like a lot of knots just because we work differently and we didn't get the adequate support in our early childhood to really nourish our differences and how different we were. They say too as well, like even in science, there was a study of like two different types of children. You have dandelions and orchids. Dandelion children seem to like be able to just like, you know, go through the thick of things and like, you know, dandelions can grow through anything. You see dandelions like growing through bricks, growing through soil, like they just always kind of like find a way. And then you have like orchid children, and orchids are more delicate and they need more nurturing and they're a lot more sensitive and they can die very easily. And I think like the neurodivergents are like the orchid kids who, if they're not properly like taken care of, they get damaged and it takes a long time for them to heal from it. Parts of them literally die and are afraid and hurt and sit in the soil and are scared to come out to air because, you know, there's literally those very real experiences of like, you know, when you came out of the soil and like showed yourself, you were chopped down and hurt and stung and rejected, and it just kind of like conditions you to shut in and to not go out. So yeah, I just felt like I said a lot of words, but I think it made sense.
I actually, it really did. It really did. It's weird when you start learning about like people, and specifically when you learn about yourself versus people, you just start to look at the world differently and like people differently and life differently, because like, I don't know, that's probably why I did want to do hair. It was because I've always wanted to like do something for others, but I also do know that like deep down my relationships will, I guess, do something, because like my dad has always told me when I was younger, like, oh yeah, like you're so good with people, like you're so like, and I'm always like, what, like what are you talking about?
Yeah
And so like, yeah, I think that's why like even though I didn't really love doing hair, like I just feel like it did, that side of it felt natural to me, especially when it was like I was talking to somebody that I felt like I could relate to. And that's one of the reasons why I love content creation, is because it brings me to a place where I can reach more people like me. Yes. I feel like when you're doing an industry where you're working like local, then you're like kind of stuck with your town versus you know, like when you're on the internet, you can kind of like reach out to more people and like more people that think like you or like can relate to you. And like I love relating to people, like I love just, you know, I love relatable people in general. Like I think that's why, like even with celebrities, like I gravitate towards celebrities that are like more relatable than like ones that aren't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. It makes total sense. It makes total sense. And I think that's kind of like, I think it's like your little impact in the world, Nikki, is like being this like relatable goofball who's like a bit awkward and silly and like, you know, also feels like big feelings. Like when I looked in your stream yesterday and like you cried at that lady singing on karaoke on like Final Fantasy.
Aerith was singing.
Yeah. And like I've never seen Final Fantasy before, and I was like, bitch nearly made me cry. And it was really good. It was like it was really nice. Like it was really like healing. I'm like, I don't know who the lady is, man. Like, yeah, I'm like the lady, she's singing the karaoke, and it was like super emotional, and you just like stop bawling. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's crying. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna cry. But it was like good. It was like really good. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, people still feel things. Like this is good. Like it's good that people feel things, because I think there's a lot of stuff out there. It's like still like emotions are weakness and feelings are weakness, and don't show them. Like people are going like, I don't know. So it's really nice that you do that.
Yeah, I think that's why I like gaming, and like I like playing games where they possibly, I know that sounds weird, but I do like playing games where they'll make me cry, because I feel like it gives other people the opportunity to know that like if you're playing a game and you're very into the story and it's making you emotional too, like I don't know, I just feel like it's like okay permission. Like to do that. Yeah,
you give permission to people to like be themselves. Yeah. Like I think that feelings things, that like you being like a bit of like a container of feelings is like your jam, like without well, it sounds like you do realize it. And I think one of the things that you're probably also overcoming right now is like recognizing that you don't just have to be a container for only happy feelings.
Yeah.
Because that might have been like an old pressure of like, it has to be like happy all the time. And it's like, actually, there's like a huge range of human emotions, and like there's room for all of them.
Yeah, I literally just told Carmen the other day, I was like, oh yeah, I feel like when I go on stream, I just have to shut up about my own problems and just like entertain. I literally just said that the other day because I do feel like people aren't going to care or want to watch me or care about my feelings. Like they're not like, and I don't mean that in a way where people are like, oh, they don't care. But I
like hearing about your feelings. I like hearing about. I love it when streamers like start talking about like. There's a streamer called Mother Moon, Danny. I think you'd like her if you want like someone who kind of models that. Like it kind of sometimes like gives you a bit of permission. You don't have to like compare, but it's like oh this is someone who does that and it's really good. Like I love it when she like talks about what she's going through, and like she literally like gave herself like a card reading and just like spoke about her stuff, and like her community are really like like I would say like really they're really sweet, and I noticed like as she was working through her stuff, like sometimes like people didn't have like advice for her, but they were like, oh my god, this hits too, like I'm going through this too. All the daddy lookers are like, hi, we love Daddy. Daddy was our like one of our first guests, but yeah, she is so sweet and genuine, and she has like a very like funny, chaotic side to her as well. It's like very, very entertaining. But I'll be honest, like I'm a bitch for like when people like kind of go there and talk about their feelings, because like that's the realm I like to be in as well. Of like, I don't know, I like hearing people talk about their feelings because it also makes it okay for me to have feelings too, and it's also something too like I can engage on and engage with. It's just good, but I totally understand too. It can make you feel like vulnerable and ugly, because I think depending on how our early childhood emotions were interacted with as well, like if it was deemed as like ugly, unacceptable, annoying, people don't want to be around it, but it's like, okay, like that's your stressed out parent, like not your friends, like your community and your friends, they're like your chosen family, like they want to hear about you, and like of course there's always going to be a balance. If you're coming on stream every day be like, I'm depressed, and you're talking about the same problem that's never getting like resolved, like you're not going to do that, like because that's not how you are. You're always going to find the spring in your step again, and the fun and the joy, and like the range is good.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think too, like it has to do a lot with my past, and it also has to do a lot with like when I did hair, because like when you did hair, like they told you, they're like, your problems don't, like literally, I don't know what it is, but people just don't care about like your problems when you're a hairstylist, and they tell you that. And like I remember one of the first times I realized I didn't want to do it was I was like, I'm going on vacation, and and then I went on vacation again like shortly after, and then my boss was like, I'm never gonna tell you no, but like you shouldn't do that because like people aren't gonna want you to like be gone. And like I was like, well, that's not good. And then the second time when I knew it was like the final straw was when my boss's husband passed away, and her clients were mad that she was taking off of work to be with her kids. Ew. And that's when I was like, this is not the industry for me. Yeah. So I just feel like it didn't match up with anything that I just needed in my life. And I was like, this is going to break me.
It's because like as well, hairdressers, they kind of like also are expected to kind of be this like sounding board of like, you ask them when they're going on vacation, you ask them about what's going on in their life, and you're just kind of expected to like sit and listen to that, but like you're not allowed to like talk about.
Oh yeah, I mean they were starting to require us with like therapy classes, because they were like, oh, you need to be able to pick up on signs if somebody's like in an abusive relationship or this or the other thing. Like I didn't ask for this.
That's like I just want to like cut people's head. It's really interesting too, because like so I had a massage not so long ago, and I unintentionally end up becoming like, I became like the massage therapist basically, and I went to one twice. You have that energy. And it's just like I can't help but ask questions and like draw it out, and then I kind of got like 40 minutes into my massage, I was like, shit, like I haven't really relaxed. Like I have, like, they're just rubbing my back, but then they're like talking to me about like their new boyfriend and like the patterns that they're in. So it's like, I do understand to an extent that like some people in certain like services, like,
yeah,
you know, like, but
they're going there to relax or whatever. They can't.
Yeah. But it's there are these lines, but it's like knowing that and recognizing that, and like, are you okay with that? And you know, and I think you're not a hairdresser now. Like, you're a personality.
Yeah.
You know, like you're a person, and people like you, and I think even in your chart, like it's good for people to hear about your problems. Like, there might be people sometimes that like aren't gonna want to hear it, and they're gonna feel a type of way about your problems, but that's just because they have their own undigested problems that they're not facing either.
Yeah.
You know, the people who get mad at others having problems are people who have a really bad relationship with addressing and connecting with their own problems too.
Right. And I definitely want other people to, and I know that like that something I've come to terms with a long time ago as a creator is that I know I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and like nobody is. Like, you know, you could have like the biggest creator or biggest celebrity or biggest movie star or whatever, and there's always going to be a good handful of people that are just like, I don't like that person. Like, it's just so that's something that I've always come to terms with, but like I still find myself sometimes holding back parts of myself just because I'm afraid of, you know, scaring people away, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think that's definitely once like you can like take to therapy of like working through like, well, who made you feel gross? Like, who are your first like childhood experiences? Who made you feel gross about your feelings? You know, because like that will be where that like comes from. Like, people who are like, you know, those feelings of like self-disgust for having feelings, because it sounds like you accept your emotions like more than I think like the average person. Like, I think you're in tune with your feelings, and I think that's really good for people to be around. And you know, I think as well, like, it doesn't always have to be like super public too. Like, you can kind of process things like on your own at first, and like maybe talk with a friend about those things, and then like see if it is something you want to share too. But I think even just like your feelings on like your video game reactions, like those stuff, it's very healing to be around. I always like want to make sure people are cautious. Like, I wouldn't want you to like re-traumatize yourself by like opening up a ton on stream, and then like you not getting that support and love that you need for those emotions, because like that can be really hard, that can be really difficult. But just on like, I guess like on a general note, like I think people care more about your feelings than they realize. And like I don't think there'll be harm in like, if that is, because that Aries Venus, like if that's what you feel like you want to talk about, say it's like, you know what guys, like I'm kind of going through today, like I kind of want to fucking pull some cards for myself on a stream, I kind of just want to like talk about it, I kind of just like need a vent, then like that's what's organic to you, and like you follow that, you know.
Oh, I like that. This is like all very, very like, I feel like a weight is lifted off my shoulders, like that's hearing really this good. And talking about, no, it really does, because like it's something that I've been doing this for 6 years, and like I can't help but sometimes be like, okay, is this word, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, is this what I'm meant to be doing? And I feel like I'm definitely meant to be doing something with people that involves people.
Yeah.
And I love this so much. So like here, like even just having the thought of like being like, oh, should I be doing this? Like hurts me, because I'm just like,
right.
I love this. Like I want to do this forever. Yeah. And I'm very like passionate about it, which like I change up what I like a lot. And so for me, doing something for like 6 years is like a big deal.
Yeah.
And so it's like good to hear that all of this.
Yeah.
like,
well, yeah, because this is like kind of like we're talking on your chart. And this is like, no one can take this away from you. It doesn't matter. Like in your chart, we can see maybe like the rejection that you've been through. We can see that, but it's not like, this is not rejecting of you. If this makes sense. Like, this is just saying like, this is who you are as a complete person. And sometimes we don't get to know that when we're limited to just those like reflections that we get of ourselves from like one people or like a group of people or just our experiences, it really isn't reflecting back to us like in our wholeness. And like when you've been wounded in certain ways as well, it's like you don't feel your full self. Like, you know, it's like these like fragments. I need a pee.
Okay.
We should we'll do a little pee break because we've like
that sounds good.
Like 2 hours like 15. But if you want to like refill drinks, we can pee, we can refill drinks. And then we'll like kind of talk more like solution stuff. We can like pull some cards. We can just chat some shit. We can, because it's good already to hear that like you're feeling a weight off. But yeah, I need to piss. So
yeah, pee break.
A pee break. No, I was saying like on the BRB screen, I was just saying about how like it was really good like talking with you and like hearing your feelings about like crippling self-worth stuff. It's just so, it's like watching myself a little bit like speak. And it's so interesting too, because it's like I think I struggle a lot with the same things, and I think a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people don't understand, and then it's like, but you do this and you're so great at this or you're so that, and it's like it doesn't sort it out, it doesn't fix it. And it's just so funny too, because it's like I'm watching you from the outside of that and I'm like, I just think you're so great. Like your energy, like even when you're crying, even when you're not feeling good, like I don't know, it's like I have like so much love for you. And it's like I'm like, damn, like I bet this is how people in my life feel about me too. But it's like so hard to like let that in sometimes. Like it's just so like it kind of like eclipses things.
Yeah.
And then you were saying too about how you've really enjoyed today and that you're happy I started to do this, because you've seen me like on Twitch now for like 6 years, right? And like I've kind of done the same thing too with like, I kind of know what I like to do. I love giving people readings. I fucking love it. I fucking love helping people. And I've like these last 6 years I've been like experimenting with all these different things of like how I help people. Like how do I do it? Like, because I found like one way of doing it, which is like, okay, like you buy a reading on Ko-fi and then you get a reading, but then it's like, but then we're in a financial crisis and like people who really need help can't always just afford to just buy a reading. Like now what, you know? So this was one of those like vehicles I wanted to make, and I also didn't have the self-esteem for, because I was like, no one is gonna care, like no one's gonna watch, no one's gonna care like about be doing a podcast. And I was like, you know, I don't care. Like, no, I feel like I've like really started to just sink my teeth into like, I want to help people, and I will use this now as like a way of just like helping people, and I can do it for free. I don't have to worry about like money or making money or someone having to buy a reading. It's like, it can just be what it is. And you know, that I'm sure there will be people out there that listen to what you have to say. And it really like changed something and really like shift something. Even if it's just like one person, it might help.
Yeah.
And even if that one person is you, like it's really cool.
No. It's like the starfish story. You've ever heard of that? When it's like they're walking on the beach and then there's like a bunch of starfish that are like on the shore, and then there's like two people walking along the shore, and one of the people like throws the starfish into the ocean, and then the other person's like, well, you're not going to be able to save all this starfish, and he's like, yeah, but I just saved that one. You know? And it could be like that one person can go on and save another, and it's like it's all a domino effect. Like
it is.
Like with like relationships and friendships, like when I have somebody that comes into my life and is a really good friend to me, it makes me want to be like a better friend. And then like I'm a better friend to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And then that person might pick up on that and they're like, oh, well, you know, Nikki makes me want to be a better friend. And then they go pass it on to somebody else. Like, that's the energy that you put off is a domino effect. So that's why it's like, it's so important to at the end of the day, like take care of yourself and really try to heal yourself in any way that you can. And, you know, I know that not everybody can
intentionally like pass on that hurt, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like you doing what you're doing with like the talks and the podcast. Like I've always listened to you talk. Like I like put you on all the time when I get ready. And like, I listen to you just like talk to people or like give people readings or just like have your little things, because what you say, it's important, and I feel like other people can like take it in and pass it along, and it does make a difference like in the long run. Like yeah, you might not be seen by like thousands of people at once, but like your words could affect 1,000 people down the line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think I'm going through my Saturn return too. And mine's in like my 7th house. Like, and mine is about like my relationships. Like I'm learning like my impact, even if it's just like 1-to-1. Cause I've been stressing myself out for ages too. I've been through the whole the only reason I can help on your end as well of like saying everything I said today about comparing yourself as a neurotypical, like a neurodivergent to the neurotypical world is because like I've been there. And I feel like I'm finally kind of coming out of it now where I look at how other tarot readers, other people are like getting their message to as many people as possible. And I've like tried that and I kind of suck at it because really my magic kind of lies in like my 1-to-1s with people. I'm really like focusing on their problems. Like I've tried to do like AOE readings and like I like specifics. I like getting into people's actual problems and finding like their unique solution, because it's like, you know, sometimes you're gonna need to surrender and sometimes you're gonna have to work harder, and sometimes, you know, there's so many different advice and there's like so many different moments for each piece of advice. And there are so many people out there like with their mindset coaching and this like AOE like advice that's just like doesn't hit the spot. It like doesn't hit the spot for me. I'm like, I need you to talk to like me, and I need you to talk to like my problem, like my special unique problem, because this is me and my life, and everyone's so different. And I think that's kind of what I wanted this podcast to be, is like, okay, like rather than always like putting it on my plate of like doing like you get a reading, you get a reading, you get a reading, you get a reading every stream, I'm like, okay, we'll just do one big fatty in front of everybody and like this will help. And it's been really good like having you as a guest. So we wanted to pull some cards. So I'm gonna move over to my little screen. I can't show my cards like to the Discord, but you're watching this stream, right?
Yeah, I am. I have it up.
Okay. Kiss. Also, firstly, guys, thank you so much for helping us hit the sub goal like on the stream.
Yeah.
Because it really helps a lot. Like, I really appreciate the support like on and for the podcast. It's really helping me like be able to work with people and they don't have to pay. Like, they don't have to pay for like a 1-to-1 reading or anything like that. So it's like,
yeah, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I've been wanting to buy a reading from you for so long, and I'm like, I don't have the money.
You know, that's the thing.
So it's like,
yeah,
because you like, we've had calls like off stream too, guys, and like every single time that I've talked to her, like you are just like a breath of fresh air like in life, or you're just like, so yeah, I cherish you forever like in my life. Like, you're just so sweet.
Cry.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much. And I think that's the hard thing, is like, I know that it's always been a hard like, sorry, I got a donation.
wait, I got that just too. Yeah.
Zyva, thank you for the 50. I appreciate that so fucking much, man. So much. I don't know when it stops.
I'll stop when you stop.
Alerts would be muted. No. Should I do that for podcast? I don't know. I kind of, I feel comfortable having it with you because I think you're used to that. Like, you know.
Oh yeah. It doesn't bother me.
So long. Yeah. I think I did an edited version of it before as well. I like made it shorter, but I think I've lost in my files on my computer. But yeah, it's always been like making your, like, when your passions become your job, and like your job, like, because I still say like I'm kind of working in the service industry. And like it's been really difficult because like I've been through my low self-esteem thing where I used to dish out free readings all the time, and I could never say no to people. And I would read for people who like, they're never fixing their problems. They ain't fucking self-reflecting a day in their life. They just want, they were addicted. People get addicted to having readings.
Yeah. They do, yeah.
And then I started to like commission them. I was like, okay, like I'm good. I'm starting to get good at what I do. Like, I need to organize this because like I'm a people pleaser, and when 100 people, there was one day I had 60 people like join my like free reading list, and I legit used to expect myself to like read all of them. And then I was like, okay, I always feel like God, whatever you believe in, like I feel like God takes me to an extreme where I have to like confront and address stuff, because I will do will try and people please like until I die. Like, and that's just like, that was my approach. I was like, I'm a little fishy. I want to save the world. Like, that was my attitude. And then I kind of like, you know, I got burnt from it for like over long periods of time. And then I started to like charge. And I was like, okay, like I used to have this thing called like tip to skip. And it was like £5 and you get a reading.
I remember that.
Yeah. And it was like 25 people. £5, you know, because the readings were fucking good. Like they were good.
Yeah.
And then over the years, I'm I've taken on all these like different things, like teaching tarot night, hosting like community stuff, and still trying to like have the same level of like quality. And I'm trying to like have all these different things that like kind of act as like gateways so that something else can say no for me, basically. Like the price tag like is gonna separate people, like, you know, from the people who really want help to the people who are gonna waste my time. But then, I mean, I think it's all come full circle. And I just realized like the people who really need my help usually can't afford it. The people who really need my help, like they're not in a situation where they have the luxury of like, you know, I'm like $200 for like a 2-hour private reading. Like that's like these things, doing this, like that's what I charge, which is fair. Like it's not like it's not worth that, but it's just like when you're in the thick of your shit, like, and you don't have a normal job, especially because I work with so many creatives. I work with so many people who are like self-employed or like unemployed. It's like, yeah,
you never know what your check is going to be.
You never know what your check is going to be.
You might need to save that extra for like a slow time.
Exactly.
Which is usually what you do. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, it's like I kind of realized that like my work became very limited in that way. And I was like realizing like I want to help particular people, and like none of my current way of doing it was working. And I got in a lucky position too. Like my husband's kind of like you're a husband of just like, you know what, Lou, like you don't need to make money. Like I will provide and here is like your little freedom. And then that's why the podcast could be born. And yeah,
that's amazing. I love that.
I think, I don't know if this is weird to say, but like, you know how it's like kind of cool to hate men or whatever? Like, so I just can't get behind it because
I can't either.
Some men I know is just like amazing. Like, and I know sometimes like people can get into like the boss bitch grind set and they like don't want to be provided for, but like literally it's like my husband like provides like for our house, and it's like the most healing, beautiful thing like I've ever got to witness. And like it's so lovely. And it's like I don't understand like the hate, but like I don't know, maybe it's neurodivergent men. I don't know, maybe they're cool.
Maybe and it's like I think it's just like for me it's just like if somebody is shitty, it doesn't matter like what your gender is. It's just like you're a shitty person. Like I don't like the group that
people is not like it's just a shitty person. It's just a shit person. It's not like it doesn't have to be attached to like any other label, because it's very if you're a shit person, it's like very personal to them, like, and about them, you know? Like yeah, like there was like the toxic like patriarchal sisters, the men who deliver. I do understand that, but yeah, sometimes it kind of bleeds into just like guy hating, and I'm like, I don't get it, because like this person is great, and I regularly say to Jack that I wish I could clone him and send a copy of him to like every woman in the world who needs someone like him, because he's amazing, and I think so many people deserve to have that kind of love because it's so healing. But anyway, sorry, I'll go stop.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I love hearing about it. I'm so glad that you're happy. It definitely shows.
Yeah, it is. And it's, you know, although I go through a lot of struggles, I think one thing that I'm always like really happy with is like my relationship. I've worked really like hard on it, you know, and there's been a lot of like healing in it. And I think it's good. Like it's one thing that's kind of go like it works out for me. So I'm happy about that. Okay, we want to pull some cards. Did you have like because I was originally just gonna go with like, what do you need to know? Like right now, like after everything we've spoken about today.
Just do that, because I can't think of a specific question.
Right. Okay, I kind of want to
I think that's good.
I have this deck that I think you'll really like. and it's called
Okay.
Listen Bitch. And they're like affirmation cards that are very like, listen bitch. Da, 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 da. So I kind of like that for you as well. So I'm gonna show
I like that too.
Oh, that's really okay. I'm gonna put these to the side. I'll zoom in on them in a minute when we've got them all out. It says sometimes letting go is the best way to free yourself. Don't waste a drop of energy trying to change someone else. So I don't know if that resonates. This is kind of like additional messages from like what we've spoken about today. So don't get caught up in like trying to change the result of like how other people are going to treat you or be with you. Like,
yeah,
you know, we spoke about it off stream about the rat experiment. I kind of feel like it's worth saying it on stream.
Yeah,
but
you should tell them.
Yeah, I was telling Nikki before we went live about this experiment that they did with rats. So like rats have very like similar psychology to like humans. So they do a lot of experiments on rats to like find out more about human behavior because we have like really similar behaviors. And they did this experiment with rats where every time the rat pressed like this button, like a pellet of food would come out. And every time the rat pressed the button, the food would come out. They pressed the button, the food would come out. And they were really content and really happy. They knew that every time like they pressed the button, this pellet would come out, and it would, they were just like very peaceful and very, very happy, and had like, you know, they're having lots of sex and lots of rat things, and they were just happy, living little happy rat lives. Then they changed up the experiment and made it so that every time the rat pressed the button, there was a chance of a pellet dropping. And they would press the button and be like, wait a minute, nothing's coming out. And press it again, and press it again, and press it again. And they keep like spamming it until a pellet came out. Over long periods of time, when that continued to happen, the rats started to get super like neurotic, like very, very anxious, very hostile. And like they would literally start spamming this button. And even when pellets came out, they would go and hoard the pellets off to one side and like go back and keep clicking it. And they were no longer content when a pellet came out because it started to become unpredictable when a pellet was going to drop. And I thought like it was a really cruel experiment. They started to like get really depressed, anxious, hostile to one another, and they would fight other rats who were pressing the button. So there's this element. Yeah. Synchronicity said it best. Yeah. Inconsistency equals insecurity. And there was a time, I think, in the economics of the world where like we knew that if we pressed a green button, we would get a certain result. We turn up to work and like we'd get paid, and we always knew like what that was going to cover. And even as a streamer, like we always kind of knew like, okay, well, like we do this and we get this. Like we are nice to our community members, they subscribe. We do this and they do that. And it was this like, there's always like this feeling of security of like, we press the green button, you press your green button, whatever that is. And you always kind of know what you're getting out of it. But I think over these past couple of years, especially after COVID, that changed. I think it changed for a lot of people. And we could no longer really count on the outcome of clicking that green button. Again, whatever your green button was. For some people, it was like overworking because they knew they were going to get that promotion. Now that promotion doesn't happen. And like, you know, it can look in all kinds of ways, but it started to create this like just insecurity and inconsistency. And I think it's really like, I think for a time it kind of really started to mess people up. But I think people are really like kind of coming to this turning point now of like adapting now and learning about themselves and learning about new expectations and new boundaries around their lives, and like reevaluating now like you can no longer just sit and like spam the green button hoping that the pellet's gonna drop, because it's no life to live. It's not a happy life to live. But obviously it's so like ingrained in survival, you know, to have the pellet drop, to have your food, to receive it from something like outside of you. And I think humanity is kind of going through like a big thing right now where they're like understanding like that relationship and also how things have changed. And yeah, I don't know if it's just an economics thing. I don't know if this is just what it means to live in a economic climate that we're in, you know? I don't know if that's just what this is. Kind of feels like, you know, first time going through that. So it's not like I know I've seen this before. It's not like I've seen this before. But yeah, I think a lot of people are going to do that. But this is what these two cards make me think of. It says sometimes letting go is the best way to free yourself, and don't waste a drop of energy trying to change someone else. Like if you have had the tendency to get caught up in patterns of like, I do this, they'll do that. If I do this, they'll do that. It almost feels like letting people go who aren't I don't know, like it's like sometimes you might try different techniques to try and get a different result. I feel like you're letting go of expectations. But on more of that like I don't know, like fundamental level, like it's not, I don't think you're ever nice to somebody just to get something out of it, but there can be people who like get you caught in that inconsistency anxiety, you know? And it can be really difficult. And the base card of it says you should be proud of how far you've fucking come. Because the thing is too, like people would have quit. Like so many people have quit. So many people have quit streaming because of that.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. Yeah.
It's really hard. Oh my God, I love this underneath it. It says you will get to where you want to be. It's inevitable.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I love this deck.
This deck is called Listen Bitch. It's literally called Listen Bitch. But yeah, so this is, I feel like your path forward, like I think there is some stuff that you have to let go of. It does feel like past related, like past ideas of people, past experiences you've been through, so that you don't get caught up in trying to get a different result.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that too, because like before you did the card pulls, I heard like the rain like start like coming down really hard, and then the song by Hilary Duff, Come Clean, came in my head, and I started singing it in my head, and I feel like that's like perfect for this.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, I think that's kind of like, part of it is like having to clear yourself of, I think there's people who have like let you down that you maybe knew in the streaming space too, like friendship groups and things like that you have to like let go of. And I also feel in that as well as like there are maybe shared community members that you had that like it can be uncomfortable or anxiety inducing, like sometimes still interacting like with that, because I don't know if this is true. This is kind of what I'm picking up on. It's like sometimes not fully, like it's like the relationship's changed but it hasn't been addressed.
Yeah. It's
like the relationship's changed but it's not been addressed.
That's really funny.
But at the same time, though, because of that anxiety of that, sometimes you might get into people pleasing them because of it. Or like feeling very uncomfortable or like nervous about yourself. And I think part of it, well, again, don't waste energy trying to change someone else. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it feels like washing yourself clean of them. I don't know if it looks like a ban. I feel, or maybe you have, but it feels like it's like an internal thing of like recognizing that like they are who they are and you cannot change them, no matter how nice they see, like the nice side of you they see or the sad side of you they see. Nothing will change like how they are as a person and how they go about their friendships and how they operate.
Right.
Like nothing, no amount of like happy to see them and attention you give or lack of attention you give will, like, they'll always have a problem. That's what it feels like. It feels like they'll always have some kind of problem, and that's because they ain't addressing their problems.
Right.
Their problem
makes sense.
Isn't you. Like they have like relationship problems, like stuff in their home, like home problems like that they can't deal with, and they just kind of like project it onto everybody else, and they'll feel the type of way about you as well, because you naturally shine and people naturally love you and people don't naturally love them. Like, I know that sounds harsh, but it just is. Like, people don't naturally love them. They have to sorry, I was like, okay. Yeah, like I don't think I know who this is about. I think I might, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna put my personality to the side. But yeah, people don't, it's hard as well. So like, you know, if people don't love them naturally, it's probably weirdly painful for them to watch you. And I think that's also sad as well, though, because you feel like not loved, and it's like really hard if someone's like hurt by you being loved, but like that's what you need and that's your wound. It's like you guys have like demons that interact with each other but are on opposites. Like they really want love. They don't get love naturally. You need love, don't feel loved, but are loved naturally. Like they hate that you don't see that you're loved, and they like envy what you have because like they want what you have, but they need to work through their own issues to like even get what their version of love is. And if you're watching this, you're welcome to do ! form and come on stream too, and I can help. I said this when kind of a meme, but no, when I did a stream talk with like somebody else last time, it's like when other people come into this kind of thing, like when they need help too, like I don't want people to feel like I'm just trash talking people for being wounded. Like I feel like everyone deserves help, and like I don't know, although we can like hurt other people and like that person's like hurt you, it's like they hurt people, you know.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
It's true.
It's a shame, but you know, if that person like happens to be like lurking or anything, like I just want you to know, like I'm not shitting. No one's like shitting. It's just life is shit sometimes, and we just get wounded, and it is what it is. Wow. Okay. Oh my god. Okay.
Okay.
These cards are so on point. Oh my god. Okay. If you can't find a way, carve your own fucking path. If you can't find a way, carve your own fucking path. But wait, there's more. You are worthy of everything good in this life. Everything. But your worth is not tied to your productivity.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing for me.
Your worth is not tied to your productivity. And there's no such thing as the right time. Trust yourself and do it.
Oh my god, that is like literally everything we were talking about.
Literally, that's why I was like, no fucking way. That I looked at the base card.
Also,
and I'm like,
the moon being my new, like part of my new logo. Literally crescent.
I want you to tattoo this into your brain.
Okay.
Can you screenshot this? I don't know if you can screenshot this.
Yeah, I can screenshot it.
Screenshot these cards.
I'm screenshotting.
Sorry.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah. Like, and the last card is imagine how good it'll feel when you're done. Like, this is gonna feel so good when you're like through this darker side of it, you know?
When somebody told me like a long time ago, because I was like venting to them about, you know, just everything, and they told me they were like, I know that everything's really hard, but I think that you're going through this, and then one day you're gonna be able to share your story, and it's gonna like help others.
Yes, I think so. I think that's exactly what's going to be happening. And like, you are worthy of everything good in this life. And your worth is not tied to your productivity. And I'd super recommend like this, like if you can't, like things that help you to let go. So like therapy might be great. Maybe like just holding some space for yourself to like cry. Like, I think it's like letting go is going to help you to free yourself. And I think that's going to also take out this, like your worth being tied to productivity. Like your worth is not tied to how productive you are.
Yeah, because like that's something that I seriously struggle with, because I feel like since I have a job where people look at it and it's like a dream job, quote unquote, right? Like it's something that like is fun.
How much work goes into streaming, even if it's just psychological work. A lot of the hardest work with streaming is like psychological shit, and basically you're having to like relive a lot of like your wounds publicly. Like literally, and it's like it's.
Yeah. It's like sometimes I'm like, I got to make sure I work really, really hard, because like otherwise I feel like people are just going to like think that I'm not, you know, trying hard enough, or not being like
you're not enough.
What I get isn't enough. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And like it's kind of one of those things. It's like people who think that you're not enough, like they carry those same harsh standards you put on yourself of like, you know, they grill themselves every day for not doing enough, and they're just projecting it like outwardly. Like, yeah, I'll tell you a small story. Like my mom had this really big issue with resentment. Like she would work herself so hard cleaning. And like she'd do this thing where she would like passive aggressively like hoover outside of my room on a weekend. If I ever had a lie-in, you know, if I ever wanted to like rest a bit more than normal, she'd come in my room and she'd just start cleaning, and I could feel like so much anger on her. And like deep down, she was kind of like asking for like help. She wanted people to see her like struggling and offer her help, but she never wanted to like communicate it. And she like was like really ashamed to like admit it. And I know now, like as an adult, my mom like ties a lot of her self-worth to like how productive she is, but it's mostly just because like she doesn't give herself permission to rest. And like I watch my mom sometimes like bitch about people who apparently don't do enough. And, you know, she bitches about, you know, people who don't work and don't do this, or like, you know, she's convinced that I do sex work. Like that's her only like understanding of like what it means.
What you do.
Yeah. Like to earn money on the internet, she's like, oh, that must be like sex work. And it's funny because I used to watch her tear apart my grandma. My grandma married somebody who was in the military who had like quite a bit of money. So my grandma she retired early and she was a housewife. And I saw my mom like be so resentful that my grandma didn't have to work. And she's so mad at that. And it's so funny, though, because it's just like not once did she just admit to herself that like it's because she wanted that. You know, my mom was a single mom. Mm-hmm. Like she didn't have money. She had to like work and do the house. And like she was so hurt. Like she's so hurt by the world and like doing everything like alone. And it's like, I don't know. I just always see that. And I just see like when people like think that streaming is a dream job and that if you ever like aren't productive, like it's just they have their own like really harsh like standards of productivity too. Like, yeah. And also as well, it's like people can get pissed off like watching people rest because they don't think they're allowed to have that either.
Right. I think that's like a society issue in general. Like I think so too. I feel like there's this weird like tension around like giving yourself time to rest, and like people it's so funny because when you take off for stream, like if you're just having a day where you're like, I want to rest today or whatever, people will tell you like, oh, you deserve it. But like, you shouldn't have to deserve rest. Like, it should just be something that we all get. Like, that's just part of what we need to like be human and like survive. Like, we all need to rest. Like, and I think that that's always so funny when you hear people be like, oh, you deserve to like do nothing all day and like take a bath. And like, you know, it's like, no, that's part like of like,
that's your basic
taking care of yourself.
That's like your basic needs.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like that. I think the previous generations that like came before us, like it was I don't know. I think like parents and adults, like in the society that they were in, it's just like, you know, there's a lot of it's just that like culture, you know. And I mean, if you think about it, like if we were back like a few hundred years ago, we would have both been lobotomized. Like this is another thing you have to remember too, guys.
Yeah.
Like there's no longer crazy houses and mental asylums to like keep all the reformists out, and all of the creatives like out of society. Like a lot of those things like got shut down, at least in England. I know like all the crazy houses got like shut down. And like they're no longer allowed to like lobotomize women, and lobotomize like creative people. So like these are the kind of people who will like reinvent things and reform things, and bring out these things of like, hey, like, you know, we need like the 9-to-5 work week with only 2 days off. Like it's just not sustainable. Like, you know, things like that. And I think what maybe people have to like, we're kind of coming to this time now, even like with the age of information of like tech, like we're starting to be exposed to like new ideas of like what people need and how things can be done. And I think people are still reckoning with their like old way of doing things. Because like my mom, for example, like how she like bullies herself into working all the time and not resting. Like it can seem like it's like for her, she's like convinced herself that it's a really noble thing, but it's not. Like it's like self-abuse sometimes. And then and she's completely not acknowledging her emotions, and then she has these like huge mental breakdowns. And you know, it's taken me quite a few years to like get her to rest. Bring back lobotomy? No. Oh wait, no, I misread what you said. No, I thought you were saying bring back lobotomy. I was like, no. Got it.
Gotta bring it back.
Oh god. But yeah, it's yeah, and Revenge said as well, I understand you might have a strong work ethic myself, but I realize not everyone is like me. Well, that's the thing. I think some of us as well, it's like, that's how we learned to survive. Like we might, you know, that's how we've learned to cope. And like, bro, like my mom just paid off a mortgage and she's like super happy. And now she's like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Because like this survival mode she's been in for like 60 years to like earn a certain amount of money so that she could like pay her off her mortgage, like that's done now. And now like I did a reading with her and I was like, Mom, like you're moving now from like survival mode like into thriving. Like you actually get to rest now. And I noticed this like big weight like lift off. Like I feel like I've never really got through to her about how she like just wears herself down and like does not rest. And like I think I kind of finally like got through to her about it. And it was hard though, because like I think sometimes like people don't get it until, I don't know, like something clicks, like something has to click of that. And like they have to recognize that they're like in survival mode. Like this is genuinely every cell in their body is telling them that this is what they have to do to survive. Like, and it does feel like life and death, and they don't even realize it. And like those days, Nikki, when you feel like you have to be productive in order to have value, like that's going to come from that place too. It's like survival mode. Like I have to be this productive in order to survive. And I think a lot of people are like, we're like readdressing that and like shifting it and recognize like we're not gonna actually die if we rest. But, you know, we've got our whole family line and all the generations before us that like society got this far on that, but it doesn't need to continue that way. We've evolved now to a certain point where we don't need that in order to do well, like in humanity, you know? And yeah, it's I think a lot of people are going to have to reckon with certain feelings though that they have about that. But that's like a big topic. That's like a really big topic. But I think you're right in what you're saying. Like people get triggered about people resting. But it really is bringing up their own feelings of like their inability to rest and their like the pressure that they put on themselves, you know?
That's true. Wow.
Well,
if you're listening out there, sending love to you, I hope that you could find a way to rest in life.
Yes, I agree. And for anyone that's like looking for a bit of like rest, ASMR is great as a way to help you rest. I don't know if you've ever gotten to ASMR. I love ASMR for like helping me rest.
I've been getting into listening to audiobooks. So I like to like listen to a book and lay, and then I just like bring myself into another world listening to my book.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Okay. I kind of want we'll pull like a couple more cards from a different deck and just to like kind of wrap this up. Is there any more like question that comes to mind or like anything like that? Like, is there anything you feel like you want touching that hasn't been touched? And as I said, like you're so welcome to come back on in the future. So like you don't have to worry so much if you can't think of anything.
Yeah, I can't think of anything at the second, but if I do before, then I'll say it.
Okay. I feel like those listed bitch cards like really said it all. So I'm like, now. Oh, okay. We'll finish on this then. It says magic mushroom, miracles, fairy energy, and opening up. It says stay open to the good and beautiful things.
Oh, I love that.
I love that too.
I'm gonna screenshot that too. Let me take a screenshot. That's so cute. I got it. I'm putting them in our chat. Yeah.
I love that so much. Perfect. It's the girl card. It's cute. I love how it says like fairy energy. Like, even though you might not be a base fairy, you still got fairy energy, girl.
Yeah,
no one can take
mushrooms
that away
and
from
fairy. Yeah. No, that's so true.
I love that so much. Oh my gosh. I'm kind of curious what the base card is. Potential and possibility. Reach out to the potential that is calling to you. Future, higher self. I love that.
Wow. Wait, I love that too. Hold on. I'm screenshot this too.
Let's go.
What deck is this? This deck is cool.
Oh shit, I can't. What deck is this? Oh no, I don't think I have the box nearby. I don't know what deck this is. I think it's like, I don't know if Mystique is here, if Mystique knows the deck. Oh no.
That's
I don't
okay.
know what the deck is called. I will find it and I will tell it to you when I know, because I don't know what the deck is. I have so many decks. Yeah, I don't know what.
Yeah, you do have a lot.
Deck is to that. But oh no, her internet cut out. Wait, whose internet cut out? Mine? Did my internet? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, and you're still streaming.
Oh, Mystique's internet cut out. Okay, fine. I was like, what? Nikki, thank you so much for being a guest today. I appreciate you so much. If you guys don't follow Mythical, you probably have seen her before under her old username of Baseberry, but you can go and follow her on there. There's a link in the chat with a little bit of a description of her streams and what she's been doing. Thank you for the official shout out. Please go drop her a follow. And I really can't wait to like see more of you just following the beat of your own drum and like listening to your passion in the moment and going for it. And letting yourself
I'm excited too.
Yes. Yeah. But
thank you so much.
It looks like there's a lot of potential and good things coming. Like I don't think this is like a time for quitting. I think it's like a time, again, this is your season of like self-discovery and like really like understanding yourself.
Yeah. I love that. Oh, thank you.
If you have any if anything comes to mind, like after we finish, if you have any questions or like reminding of anything, like you can send me a DM. This doesn't have to be like the last time like we speak about this. If you ever need any more help, like I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
I think it would be interesting for you to do that with like your guests, like bring them on like when they feel, like they've transitioned or like taken it, and like
that would be really cool. Yeah,
that's always like when you watch a reality show and then they'll be like 3 months later, 6 months later, and then they'll be like, that would be really cool.
The progression of it. Yeah, I'd love that. I would love to see like the growth of it too. And I think too, it's like the growth never really like kind of stops too. I think right now it's like, I'm noticing I'm kind of like the first episodes I'm doing with people seem to be like right when they're at the thick of certain things. Cause when I spoke with Danny, it was like the same thing. Heartfelt Hangouts Revisited. TM, trademark, brand. Let's go.
Oh my God. I love that.
Let's go. The reunion. The reunion. Oh, but Nikki, thank you so much for being here tonight. I appreciate you so much. And thank you for being a guest. Thank you for trusting me as well to like come on and speak. I'm gonna transition over to like my main screen and like just talk to stream for a bit, but I'll go ahead and hang up in a moment. Okay. I appreciate you. I love you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I can't see.
Bye.
Okay, bye.